to cover up hush money payments.
As prosecutor Matthew Colangelo told the hush courtroom that Trump orchestrated an illegal plan to corrupt the 2016 presidential election. Colangelo said, quote, "This case is about a criminal conspiracy and a cover-up. It was election fraud. Pure and simple."
Fox's Eric Shawn at State Supreme Court in Lower Manhattan. A defense attorney telling the jury during today's opening statements the former president is innocent and did not commit any crimes. And outside the courtroom moments ago,
"It's very unfair what's going on, and I should be allowed to campaign."
The former president telling reporters it's election interference as that trial wraps for today. A different judge is leaving a $175 million bond in place, but adding new restrictions as the defense appeals a civil fraud judgment against the former president and Trump organization. The New York Attorney General tried to have that bond voided. Protests outside the U.S. Supreme Court as the justices hear arguments over a public camping ban that's fueling more debate about homelessness.
Giving people an opportunity to sound off about the fact they say that there's not enough housing in the United States and there's a housing crisis that needs to be fixed. A federal appeals court recently ruled that an anti-camping ordinance aimed at blocking homeless camps in the small town of Grants Pass, Oregon, violated the constitutional ban on cruel and unusual punishment as the homeless did not have access to shelter elsewhere.
Fox's David Spunt at the Supreme Court. That city has argued the law only bars camping on public property. Critics say, in effect, it makes it a crime to be homeless. America is listening to Fox News.
Moments like my daughter telling me a new joke mean a lot to me. But after being diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, or MBC, which is breast cancer that is spread to other parts of the body, they mean even more. I take Ibrance, palbociclib.
Ibrance 125 milligram tablets with an aromatase inhibitor is for adults with HR-positive, HER2-negative NBC as the first hormonal-based therapy. Ask your doctor about Ibrance and visit Ibrance.com. Ibrance may cause low white blood cell counts that may lead to serious infections. Ibrance may cause severe inflammation of the lungs. Both of these can lead to death. Tell your doctor right away if you have new or worsening symptoms, including trouble breathing, shortness of breath, cough, or chest pain. Before taking Ibrance, tell your doctor if you have fever, chills, or other signs of infection, liver or kidney problems, are or plan to become pregnant, or are breastfeeding. Common side effects include low red blood cell and low platelet counts, infections, tiredness, nausea, sore mouth, abnormalities in liver blood tests, diarrhea, hair thinning or loss, vomiting, rash, and loss of appetite.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
All about sunshine, all about winds turning to the south. It gets a little windy this afternoon, but it's warmer. 69, 70. Tonight, partly cloudy skies. 52 for the overnight low. Evening temperatures in the 60s. Enjoy. Tuesday, a mix of clouds and sunshine. A couple of light rain showers, maybe a rumble of thunder. It's not much. And the focus Tuesday afternoon with a high near 70. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon for the Doctors of Ophthalmology Associates. I depend on them for eye care, and they have an announcement. They're pleased to welcome Dr. Samuel Berry to their practice. Dr. Berry is a cornea surgeon, and he has the latest knowledge and techniques for advanced eye care and treatment in the field. So what do we call them now? The doctors? No, just the best doctors to see for your best vision. In St. Louis, you can reach them at 314-966-5000. They've treated more than 250 doctors, more than any others in the practice. Now, if you need help with dry eye, LASIK surgery, maybe you have glaucoma, macular degeneration. I had an eye disease when I was just 25 years old, so my eyes are very important to me. You get the absolute best care with the Doctors of Ophthalmology Associates. Doctors Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Bersati, Andy Royer, and now Dr. Samuel Berry. 314-966-5000 or visit youridoc.com. They have a great location just off Manchester Road, a half mile west of 270. Ophthalmology Associates.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-652-5241 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-652-5241. That's 800-652-5241. What do you have to lose? Call 800-652-5241. Again, 800-652-5241.
Hi, I'm Libby, and I'm a patient at Cardinal Clinic. With your help, Homers for Health can make a huge impact on my hospital. From new spaces to new treatments, a difference is being made for patients every single day. Glenn and kids like me owe everything to people like you. Please make your pledge for patients today at homersforhealth.org. Thank you so much for your support. Again, that's homersforhealth.org.
Don't pay retail for your diamond engagement ring or gift. Come to cleanorigin.com. We're experts in ecologically friendly lab-grown diamonds. Mention code RADIO10 for 10% off. That's cleanorigin.com online or one of our retail stores.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
At Onder Law, we deliver big judgments for the little guy. Onder Law takes on the biggest industries and holds them accountable. Call today for a free review at 314 or 618-9000000.
The Annie Fry Show YouTube live chat poll of the day is sponsored by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Putin does what he would like to do. Kill his opposition, imprison his opposition, drive, journalists and others into exile, rule without any check or balance. That's what Trump really wants.
Okay, all right. That's the woman who has never been the president before, Hillary Clinton. And when you hear her say things like that, oh, he wants to kill them, he wants to imprison them, rule without whatever she said, it's one of those things where your eyes get real big and you're like looking down to the side and it's like, who's going to tell her? But then you realize, no, she already knows. She already knows exactly what she's saying. She knows how ridiculously hypocritical her words are, and it's just kind of part of the plan. Donald Trump spoke outside of the courtroom as the trial wrapped up for the day, I'm told, because an alternate juror had to go to the dentist. So things happened. I don't know what kind of dental emergency this was, but this Donald Trump trial is done for the day so that alternate juror can go see the dentist. And we've got Will Sharf, who's going to be with us from now up until like 12:40 this show. So if you have questions that you want Will to ask, get on the Annie Fry YouTube channel. You can watch. He's going to join us here on Zoom. But we wanted to bring you Donald Trump's words that just took place about 20 minutes ago at the courthouse when he came out. Brad, let's go ahead and listen in to what he had to say.
Legal expense. That's the exact term they used. Legal expense in the books. And another thing that wasn't even said was we never even deducted it as a tax deduction. So that takes a whole of answer. Most people want to deduct everything. We never even took it as a tax deduction. But they called the payment to a lawyer a legal expense in the books. They didn't call it construction. They didn't say you're building a building. It called a payment to a lawyer because, as you know, Cohn is a lawyer, represented a lot of people over the years. Now, I'm not the only one. And wasn't very good in a lot of ways in terms of his representation. But he represented a lot of people. But he puts in an invoice or whatever, a bill, and they pay it, they call it a legal expense. I got indicted for that. What else would you call it? Actually, nobody's been able to say what you're supposed to call it. If a lawyer puts in a bill or an invoice, and you pay the bill, and in the book, it's a little line. That's a very small little line. I don't know if you could even write more than 2 words. It's not like you could tell a life story. They marked it down to a legal expense. This is what I got indicted over. Think of it. I got indicted. I'm the leading candidate. I'm beating Biden. I'm beating the Republicans now. I have the nomination. And this is what they try and take me off the trail for. That checks being paid to a lawyer. He is a lawyer, or was a lawyer. And also the things he got in trouble for were things that had nothing to do with me. He got in trouble, he went to jail. This had nothing to do with me. This had to do with the taxi cab company that he owned, which is just something he owned, and medallions and borrowing money and a lot of things, but it had nothing to do with me. He represented a lot of people over the years. But they take this payment and they call it a legal expense, and you heard it today for the first time. This is what I got indicted over. This is what took me off and takes me off the campaign trail, because I should be in Georgia now. I should be in Florida now. I should be in a lot of different places right now campaigning, and I'm sitting here. And this will go on for a long time. It's very unfair. The judge is conflicted, as you know. It's very unfair what's going on. And I should be allowed to campaign. And whoever heard of this, you got indicted for that? People in the court just said to me, I can't believe it. This is the case. So we did nothing wrong. The other thing is, if this were such a great case, why didn't the Southern District bring it? Who looked at it, turned it down? Why didn't numerous other agencies and law enforcement groups look at it? Because it was shown to everybody. And very importantly, why didn't the federal elections do anything about it? Because this is federal, it's not state. They're trying to make it a state case, whatever. And it's not state, it has nothing to do. It's never happened before, I believe. Never happened before. This has never happened before, where the state tries to insert itself in federal elections. Nobody's ever seen it. But you know, federal elections took a total pass on it. They said essentially nothing was done wrong, or they would have done something about it. They're tough. They would have done something about it. But they said nothing, and they said, we're going to take a pass. Because they couldn't even believe it. Actually, if you read their letter, they couldn't even believe it. They were incredulous. And yet, Bragg picks it up. Now, with Bragg, if you look, when he first came in, he didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it. Now, when are they going to look at Pomerantz and what Pomerantz did? Because that's bad stuff. And when are they going to look at all the lies that Cohen did in the last trial? He got caught lying in the last trial. So he got caught lying, pure lying. And when are they going to look at that? Now, we'll go to another subject, because just a few blocks away, as you know, they had a trial on the $175 million. That's Letitia James. It's all coming out of the White House, by the way. And that's in front of Judge Engoron. And the judge really didn't know anything. He didn't know about collateral security. He said, supposing it goes down. Well, it doesn't go down because it's cash. I put up $175 million in cash, and we have a bonding company do it. And he challenged the bonding company that maybe the bonding company was no good. Well, they're good, and they also have $175 million of collateral, my collateral. But the judge didn't know anything about it. He didn't know what the $175 million cash meant. He had no idea what anything meant. And he had no idea what he did in the trial. And he charged me hundreds of millions of dollars on something where I'm totally innocent. But if you look at what happened today, Judge Engoron should not have done that trial. It should have gone to the business division where they have complex business trials. But actually, it should have never been brought, because I didn't overestimate. You know, they say I overestimated. If you look at the numbers, they're underestimated. I underestimated. I did the opposite of what they said. And the reason that they tried to, and they did it for their own narrative, they valued a $1 billion asset at $18 million. They valued other assets in as little, in order to build their narrative. They want to build a narrative. But if you look, and I have a complete record of what happened, Judge Engoron had no idea what was going on, didn't understand the most simple concepts. And this is the man that took a case, and this is why businesses they're moving out of New York, because they can't be subject to this. They'd be put out of business. They're moving out of New York because of it. But Judge Engoron had absolutely no idea what had happened. He didn't realize we put up 175. But when he found out we put it up, He said, what happens if it goes up or down? I said, it doesn't, or they said, it doesn't go up or down. It's cash that we put up, all cash. Very few people could do that. And the deal was approved with the Attorney General. You can believe that. But the deal was approved. She just tried to embarrass everybody, and she tried to embarrass a very good bonding company by saying they weren't creditworthy. Well, they were creditworthy, and what was more important is they had as security $175 million that I put up. But the point here is that the judge had no idea what was happening. And this is the same judge that 2 months ago made a ruling that shook the world. It shook the world because everyone knows going to that trial I did nothing wrong. And over here, I did nothing wrong also. This is a Biden witch hunt to keep me off the campaign trail. So far, it's not working because my poll numbers are higher than they've ever been because the public understands that it's a witch hunt. Thank you very much.
Donald Trump speaking from New York, the New York City courthouse. And after that, that was the end of the trial for today. They will resume tomorrow. And I'm excited to have our next guest on the show. Will Sharf is going to join us. And for a couple of segments here, the remainder of this one and the next one, of course, you know him as one of the Trump attorney team members, former federal prosecutor for the Eastern District of Missouri. You also know him as a candidate for Missouri Attorney General, and he has a very good outlook on the landscape of what we are watching take place with all of this lawfare against Donald Trump. Today's YouTube live chat poll, before we get Will on here, this is the first question that I'm going to ask him. So you can go to the Annie Fry YouTube channel, and you can weigh in on this. Will Trump be found guilty in the initial hush money trial? Appeals, yes, the foul ball of the legal system. I need to know, in this trial, are you automatically convicted that he is going to be convicted for this hush money case? Will Sharf, let's get him on the show with us here. Will, thank you for joining us via Zoom this time and being able to have this conversation with you. I'll ask you that question, the YouTube poll for today. Do you think Trump's going to be found guilty in this initial hush money trial?
Well, look, I know that if the jury fairly considers the facts that will be in evidence at the end of the trial, that President Trump will be acquitted because he did nothing wrong. Now, you're asking me a different question, whether I think he's actually going to be acquitted or found guilty. I don't believe that he will be convicted because I think the facts here are so much on our side. It's really important to remember what this case is really about. It's called a hush money trial, but it's not about hush money at all. What's alleged here is that President Trump made fraudulent business entries in his personal ledger when he described payments to his attorney, Michael Cohen, as legal retainer payments. Now, a couple important facts that the mainstream media doesn't seem to want to cover. One, President Trump didn't make these entries in his ledger. These entries were made by a mid-level Trump organization employee named Deb. She's a very sweet lady. Meanwhile, President Trump was off in the White House running the country. This was all in 2017. So I don't think they can even prove that President Trump made these entries in his ledger at all. And then on top of that, they were recording payments to Michael Cohen, his lawyer, $420,000 in payments to Michael Cohen as his lawyer as legal retainer payments, which to me seems entirely accurate. Cohen was his lawyer. He was doing work for him. There's no fraud here. The fact that this case has been brought to begin with is an absolute outrage. And I think President Trump's right when he says that at the end of the day, this is all about election interference.
We're speaking with Trump attorney Will Sharf here about the beginning of what people are calling the hush money trial, but very good point there, Will, about what this is actually about. Talk to me a little bit about the judge, because when you're laying out these details that seem to be very poignant details in this trial, the jury and the judge are going to need to see the points that you're making and not be biased. I think there are questions as to whether or not Donald Trump can get a fair jury trial in Manhattan, in New York City. This judge has shown a little bit of political bias, according to Donald Trump. Do you think the jury and the judge can give him that fair trial that he deserves?
Oh, I think Judge Merchan has been terribly biased against us, as he's been biased in other political cases before. We moved to recuse him off the case. Under New York law, it's absolutely ironclad that he has a family financial interest here, and he should have recused himself. He didn't. That's an issue we now have up on appeal before the New York Appellate Division. But at the end of the day, I believe that if the facts come into evidence, the actual facts in this case,
It doesn't matter that any fair-minded juror is going to take a look at this and see things the way that we see it, that there was no fraud. President Trump did nothing wrong. And this whole trial is basically a farce. And you can see, reports are coming out about opening arguments now. And the prosecution's, the prosecutor who gave opening argument for them, he's talking about, stuff from 6 years ago and trying to build this into something that it's not. This is a very simple case. Were the business records accurate or not? I believe they were accurate. Did President Trump order inaccurate records to be made? I don't believe he ordered anything. So as long as those facts come into evidence and as long as the jury, takes a deep breath and views things dispassionately when they finally get into the jury room, I think this is an 100% acquittal. There was a CNN legal analyst, Ellie Honig, who said on TV the other night, he's not a hardcore conservative by any stretch. He said that if this was a case brought in a 50-50 Biden-Trump jurisdiction, less of a blue jurisdiction, it would be an 100% acquittal. Absolutely no question, 100% acquittal. And I think that even in New York, we're going to end up getting what we need. We're going to get the right facts into evidence, and we're going to end up winning this thing.
Will Sharf speaking with us right now. We're going to take a quick break, Will, and when we come back, I want you to answer this question. Was today a good day or a bad day for Donald Trump? And then we'll get into what's going to happen next, the timeline of what people can expect with this specific trial taking place with Alvin Bragg and the hush money trial in Manhattan. And we'll also touch on that bond approval. Once again, Letitia James, she's going to keep trying, and she lost again. Will, hang on right there. We're going to be back with more with Will Sharf, who is a candidate for Missouri Attorney General, but a Trump attorney as well, and very well versed on all of these legal issues. We're glad to have him. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Twitter @AnnieFryShow.
Out here in my neck of the woods where God is great and guns are good, you really can't know that much about them if you think we're better off without them. Oh, there was a
Michael's Flooring Outlet. You find them online at igotfloored.com, but you can visit them in store when that process of shopping for flooring gets a little bit closer to actually making that investment into your home, the purchase. When you improve your home, that is definitely an investment. You want to make sure it's a smart one. That's where you're going to find yourself walking in the doors of these amazing different locations across the St. Louis area where you can make that purchase. You can go to St. Charles County on Main Street in Old Town St. Peters at Mid-Rivers and Highway 70. You can visit them at West County at Olive Boulevard, just a mile off 270 West on Olive. You can also go visit their location in Darting Prairie. All the information is online to where you can find the place that best suits you. Just go to igotfloored.com. But I want you to also know that they have been a family-owned and operated business for going on 30 years right now, and they are always committed to making sure that you're making the right choice for your home or your place of business if it's a commercial purchase as opposed to a residential purchase. They have a whole bunch of flooring options for you, including the top lines like the Smart Strand Mohawk Silk line for carpeting or the Techwood Plus line if you're looking for something truly wonderful to put into your home. If you're shopping for flooring, go to the family-owned and operated business that we've been so glad to support and sponsor partnership with here on the Annie Fry Show and 97.1 FM Talk. You can find them online at igotfloored.com.
If you own a business or you're in management, you know there aren't enough hours in the day to keep up on the latest trends, learn about new products that can help you sell more, and network face-to-face. Well, here's the good news. You can do all of these things in one afternoon at the St. Louis Business Expo. On Tuesday, May 7th at the St. Charles Convention Center, why don't you come meet some people who could help your business grow and get caught up on the latest in marketing, tech, and more. Now, you have to RSVP to attend this free event, so just do that right now at stlexpo.com.
You know, most people never get to sit down with elected officials and ask them about the important issues. I'm Judge Mike Carter, and that's exactly why I host the news talk program Justice and Journalism with me, Judge Mike Carter. My goal is to bring those who represent us closer to the people they serve. I ask the questions you would in a no-nonsense manner. That's why we've been able to interview so many top local, state, and federal officials, because as a judge, I offer an unbiased, one-on-one conversation that's hard to find elsewhere these days. Besides serving as judge, I have a journalism degree, which is how the name of the show, Justice and in Journalism with me, Judge Mike Carter, evolved. You never know who we'll interview next, from Governor Parson to prosecutors, sports figures to Missouri business leaders. Justice in Journalism with me, Judge Mike Carter, airs on Fox and ABC. You can also watch our past shows at MikeCarter.com, where we ask the questions and let you be the judge.
If you'd like to see more of Judge Mike Carter's interviews on his program, Justice in Journalism, visit MikeCarter.com. That's MikeCarter.com.
Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate credit cards offer points as incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's corporate cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now, get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/free. Ramp.com/free. RAMP.com/free.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members of FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Our goal at Neovitin is to make supporting your nutrition as easy as possible. That's why we created the Neovitin monthly subscription. Just go to neovitin.com, choose your multivitamin, sign up, and we will do the rest. You'll receive your Neovitin multivitamin every month with no long-term obligation. You can pause or cancel at any time, and shipping is free. Each Neovitin multivitamin includes our physician-formulated proprietary blend for nutritional support you won't find anywhere else. Start supporting your nutrition the easy way with Neovitin multivitamins. Sign up for a Neovitin subscription today at neovitin.com.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is hiring licensed journeymen. Don't have a journeyman license? Air Comfort Service will help you get it. Get guaranteed hours year-round and more. Apply online at aircomfortservice.com.
It's what's happening
Iran has attacked Israel
right now
from its own sovereign territory,
keeping you informed.
Many world leaders on edge.
And up to date.
This is an issue that affects everybody around the world.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk. 97.1 FM Talk. You're listening to The Annie Fry Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. It's been quite a busy day. It's been a busy weekend, and we are happy to be covering everything that we can, squeeze into 3 hours here on the Annie Fry Show on 97.1 FM Talk. We are currently speaking with Will Sharf, who is a Donald Trump attorney. He is a former federal prosecutor for the Eastern District of Missouri, and he's also a candidate for Missouri Attorney General. We're happy to have him on the show to break down today what we heard so far in the commencement of opening statements and so on and so forth in the big hush money trial, which if you're listening to the first segment, we got a little bit better understanding of why it's not really even a hush money trial. So, Will, I told you the question that I was going to ask you when we came back is, was it a good day or a bad day for Donald Trump? What do you think?
I think it was a really good day. By all reports, opening arguments went exactly as expected, with Alvin Bragg's team spinning this weird conspiracy theory and our team just sticking to the facts. In addition to that, Judge Engoron in the ongoing civil case, this is this totally bogus civil fraud case where we currently have up on appeal. Engoron questioned the bond that we had posted to have the right to appeal. President Trump put down $175 million in cash, and Judge Engoron was trying to say that somehow that was insufficient. Well, he even seems to think that or believe that he bit off more than he can chew there. Because it looks like our bond is going to remain in place, and we're going to continue having our rights to appeal that outrageous decision against President Trump in that case. So all in all, we're firing on all cylinders. Things seem to be going pretty well. We just have to keep up the fight. It's going to be a really busy week. I'm actually going to be at the U.S. Supreme Court on Thursday for our arguments in the presidential immunity appeal in D.C. That's another huge case, massive constitutional case with huge implications. So it's all coming to a head when President Trump talks about this being election interference. What he's really getting at is the fact that we've got all these legal cases rolling and instead of him being out in Michigan and Arizona and Wisconsin campaigning for president, He's got a lot on his plate right now. And to me, that's just an outrage. It's an abuse of our whole system.
Yeah, there's there are two ginormous parallel paths here, which is the lawfare that is being used against Donald Trump, but also the political campaign where he's not out there, but able to campaign the way he wants to. But as I've said before, the Biden Justice Department has set the battlefield, and it doesn't seem to be like on the political side of it that even at these pressers that take place at the courtrooms after a trial lets out for the day, that Donald Trump is losing on that battlefield that he wouldn't have even chosen for himself. I'm glad you mentioned this Thursday at the Supreme Court. That's on the immunity trial, has to do a lot with Jack Smith's, the indictments against Donald Trump with Jack Smith. How impactful is that hearing that's going to take place surrounding the immunity plea that, or whatever it is that Donald Trump is saying that he should have? How consequential could that possibly be for the president?
Yeah, we think that if the Supreme Court doesn't rule our way in this, the institution of the presidency of the United States of America is over. That what's at issue here is whether a president can be criminally prosecuted for his official acts in office. We're not talking about private conduct, but his official acts in office without being first impeached and convicted, which is the system that our Constitution sets up. We believe our argument is very powerful, very strong, deeply rooted in the Constitution and hundreds of years of practice and case law. We hope the Supreme Court sees things our way. If not, every future president is going to be constantly threatened with criminal prosecution. Every future president is going to effectively be blackmailed by his political opponents, saying, if you don't do X, Y, and Z, we're going to hail you into court the second you leave office and throw you in prison. It's totally anti-American. George Washington warned about this in his farewell address. James Madison warned about this extensively in the federal papers. Madison called it the use of newfangled and artificial treasons by political factions to oppress their opponents. That's what we're seeing, the use of these made-up legal theories by the Biden administration and their political allies to oppress President Trump, their principal political rival. We're certainly very excited for Thursday. I think argument's going to go really well, but it's another hoop we have to jump through to vindicate President Trump's rights and to vindicate really the American people's rights to have an election, to have a choice of which candidate they want to vote for on the ballot next November.
We're talking with Trump attorney Will Sharf right now. So if, let's say, those arguments go as well as you're speaking, that they may go this Thursday in front of the Supreme Court regarding the presidential immunity, what are the consequences for charges that have been brought against Donald Trump if you win on that issue the way you hope to?
So that would gut the D.C. prosecution against President Trump. That's one of Jack Smith's two cases. It would have an impact on the Florida prosecution as well, because some of the acts alleged in that indictment are official acts. It could impact the New York prosecution that's now ongoing, because we believe some of the acts that underlie the indictment there were official acts as well, in terms of public communication, certainly. And it would also gut the Georgia prosecution, which relates almost entirely to what we believe are official acts in office. So if we win this thing, I think this entire campaign of lawfare against President Trump, it really strikes a serious blow at the heart of it. Even if we get a relatively narrow win, though, if the Supreme Court says some acts are immune and others aren't, that will essentially guarantee that no other trial goes to trial before Election Day. And so at the very least, President Trump will be able to campaign for office as effectively as possible while we litigate out the nitty-gritty of which acts may or may not be immune. But again, we think our arguments are very strong. We're talking about official acts here, not private acts. The Supreme Court has recognized that civil immunity exists in that context. We're just asking them to expand that to criminal immunity as well.
Is there haste involved in the ruling that you expect from the Supreme Court after you would make your arguments on Thursday? Will they do that quickly?
I'd actually expect not. I think on an issue of this magnitude, we're likely to see a Supreme Court opinion certainly by the end of session, at the end of June, at the end of the Supreme Court session, but probably not much before that. We would expect a June judgment here from the court, which would be about normal for a case of this magnitude. We're also expecting an opinion on roughly the same time frame from the Supreme Court in the Fisher case, which is a January 6 case relating to what we believe is an unconstitutional abusive use of this obscure federal document destruction statute called 1512C2, if the Supreme Court rules the way I think they will in Fisher, that in and of itself would actually knock out two of the charges against President Trump in Washington, D.C. So the Supreme Court's going to be busy with a lot of this in the next couple months. But we think that we're on the right side here and that we have very strong grounds for the arguments that we're bringing. And hopefully the Supreme Court sees things the same way.
We're speaking with attorney for Donald Trump, Will Sharf. He is joining us. He's also a former federal prosecutor for the Eastern District of Missouri here, a candidate for Missouri Attorney General. I'm kind of curious. I saw this headline, and again, I know which room to walk into when we're talking about legal issues, but then I walk in, I'm like, I got nothing. So I have to have people like you, Will, on the show to help hold my hand and guide me through so that I feel like I somewhat understand what's going on. Fox News headline says, New York versus Trump, the evidence prosecutors can present if former president testifies. My question to you is, everything that I've heard a lot of legal experts saying, even on the left agenda-driven media sites since these charges were brought, was that this Alvin Bragg Manhattan situation was a circus. And why are they even doing it? But I'm wondering if there's advantage to getting President Trump under oath at this case for something that could be then used against Donald Trump in another case. Is there the ability to take these trials as a whole, take the whole fabric of what they're throwing against Donald Trump in a way that can use them against each other down the road in other trials?
Yeah, so the decision on whether or not President Trump testifies here, it's going to be his decision and the decision of the trial team, led by my buddy and colleague Todd Blanche, based on the other evidence that comes in and based on whether they think they need it. I've said consistently, though, based on my knowledge of the case, if President Trump goes on the stand, he's going to be a compelling witness because the facts are absolutely on his side. He didn't do anything wrong here. So if he does take the stand, I think it's going to be compelling. The ruling that you're referring to just now relates to the types of evidence that the prosecutors can use on cross-examination if President Trump testifies. I think the judge has been overly generous in what he's going to allow them to examine him on. But there's nothing in there that's particularly surprising or particularly damaging or hurtful. It's really just allowing the prosecutors to ask President Trump about unrelated incidents that may have happened many years ago. At the end of the day, the facts here are very much on our side and they can throw up all the smoke they want. But I have confidence that any fair and impartial juror is going to see this case for what it is, which is an absolute sham. So
just so that I double down and make sure I understand, if you were going to be able to get a trial in Manhattan and a favorable jury to the prosecution, a favorable judge to the Democrat Party, and you maybe were going to lose the case, if they could get Donald Trump to sit in the witness stand and be under oath, do they have wiggle room in being able to ask questions of him while he's under oath that would become admissible in further trials of Donald Trump's down the line?
But probably not admissible directly in further trials down the line. Those would be out-of-court statements in future trials. So that's not a huge worry here. The idea is what can they ask him on cross-examination to kind of make him look bad? That's what these motions were about, and that's what Judge Merchan's ruling relates to. It's interesting. Frederick Douglass, the great abolitionist, once said that a man's rights rest in three boxes: the jury box, the voting box, and the cartridge box. That basically the three great safeguards of Americans' rights are elections, the Second Amendment, and then the jury. That you can have a biased judge, you can have a biased prosecutor, but at the end of the day, the prosecutors have to convince 12 ordinary Americans plucked off the streets that they've proven beyond a reasonable doubt the allegations in the case that they've brought. And in a case like this, even in New York, I have to believe that the American people are better than this, that the American people will see through what's going on, and that any fair-minded juror who's on that panel is going to look at the evidence here and just say that President Trump did nothing wrong.
Will Sharf, I know that you speak with the president from time to time, but I just wanted to give you the opportunity to speak about Donald Trump's spirit at this point in time. I think a lot of people watch what's going on, and they do feel that it is very unfair. That's somewhat a bipartisan response. How do you feel that Donald Trump feels going through this lawfare as the campaign crawls closer to November? How's he doing?
Yeah, look, he's justifiably pissed off at everything that's going on. I mean, it's absolutely outrageous what they're doing to him. But I will say, having worked with him for a while now, the man has absolutely boundless energy and is at heart an optimist. He believes that he's going to win. I believe that he's going to win. And he believes that he's going to be able to do great things for America once again. And I think that's what keeps him going here. I know that it matters to him at a very personal level, the sheer number of Americans who have his back, who are praying for him, who are on his side. We're going to get him through all this. And I think, come next January, he's going to be sitting back in the White House where he belongs. So it's a difficult process. But again, he's got a ton of energy. He's got a ton of optimism and spirit. And I think that's going to come through in the weeks and months ahead.
And there are a lot of people praying for him. There are a lot of people praying for this country right now. It's hard to look around and recognize the greatness that is America right now, and we do need to reestablish that. Will Sharf, thank you for your time today. We're really grateful for it. Brad will be asking you again, I don't know, maybe tomorrow to come back on. We'll have you anytime you got some time for us. We are very grateful for you.
Appreciate you, Annie. Have a good one.
Yep, you as well. Will Sharf is a Donald Trump attorney. He's part of that Trump team, will be present and accounted for as they argue against that or for that immunity claim, presidential immunity, this Thursday at the Supreme Court. Hugely consequential to see what the Supreme Court will rule on that. We'll have to wait to find that out, but that process begins later this week and includes Will Sharf. He is a former federal prosecutor for the Eastern District of Missouri and a candidate for Missouri Attorney General as well. Very grateful to have him and his time for about 35 minutes here today. We're going to take a quick break. Wiggins America. There's a lot of news that is happening. We're going to get to all of the important news throughout the day because we've got Steve Moore at 1:05 in the next hour and Jason Chaffetz at 1:25. What did the House do this weekend? What are the Republicans in the House doing? Do you stand by what they did, what they voted for, what they supported? How do you fix it? How do you do anything with this narrow of a majority? Jason Chaffetz at 1:25. But when we come back, all the other news with Wiggins America. We'll be right back.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Fry Show.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential. But finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Our $79 garage door tune-up extended through April. Is your garage door old and whining for attention? Overhead Door Company of St. Louis will make it all better. They'll perform their full 26-task garage door tune-up for just $79, extended through April. That's just $79 for up to 3 garage doors and openers. You need this done once a year, so why not now? And for just $79. Schedule now at overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
Traffic law counselors is where we go when the police hassle us. Go to 45bucks.com.
This is Mike Carter, founder of 45bucks.com, or as you know it, Traffic Law Counselors. And right now, around tax time, we know folks are taking care of issues that they may have been putting off for a while. Maybe a driving while suspended or a warrant, things that you may have been worrying about for a little while. And we specialize in keeping folks' records clean. They come to us on a Monday, they can't drive, and by the end of that week on a Friday, we've got them back in the driver's seat driving legally. And that's very gratifying. And God forbid you're wrestling with something like a DWI. You can go to DWISTL.com. We got 10 paralegals and attorneys that are working on those cases nonstop, and depositions, trials, hearings, and we can put that to work for you as well. In fact, it's the enduring success of Traffic Law Counselors that has enabled us to be the preeminent DWI attorneys in St. Louis at DWISTL.com. So now you know, if you have a traffic matter, it's 45bucks.com. If you've got a DWI issue, it's DWISTL.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based based solely upon advertisements.
Surprise!
Surprise!
You know, surprise parties, they can be fun, right? Well, financial surprises, not so much, especially when you're retired, like finding out you owe more in taxes than you thought you would, or having to go back to work to make ends meet. Maybe you think you'll be okay, but why not double check just to be sure? Call Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions and schedule a retirement double check. Marvin and his team have been helping families plan for retirement for more than 15 years. Call 314-373-1598 to schedule your retirement double check with Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions. That's 314-373-1598. Don't let a financial surprise derail your retirement dreams. Give Marvin and the team a call, 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services, investments, and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and in Illinois.
The Lifestyles Unlimited team of real estate investing mentors and educators want to meet you. Learn to retire in 5 years or less. In St. Louis, 2 days only, April 27th and 28th. Go to GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. Promo code 2024.
Will Trump be found guilty in the initial hush money trial? That is the subject of today's Monday, April 22, Annie Fry YouTube live chat poll. Will Trump be found guilty in the initial hush money trial? Yes or no? Let us know. This is a tough one. Love to know why you believe what you believe in this poll as well. 12:46 right now. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Are you a business owner? Do you want your voice and the voices of your clients represented? Let us do the talking. Join our community of free thinkers on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Learn more at 971talk.com/partner. The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Wiggins. Oh! Monday roundup. Yeah! This here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
Gets me every time.
Just love it, huh?
The brightest part of my day.
Yeah, definitely Mondays.
Just that part is the peak.
Of any day?
The wildest ride in the wilderness. That part right there is the peak.
Oh, I see. I see the peak. Yes, indeed.
You're adjacent to the peak.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be close to
Make it a plateau.
If I can just kind of get
you should
in
put
there.
that on your resume. Peak
somewhere.
adjacent.
I'm peak adjacent, you know. I may not be the best employee you could hire, but I'm decent.
Could be worse.
I'm adjacent to
I'll
that.
show up, and you can count on that. This is the Monday Roundup, of course. As Annie mentioned in the last segment, there is a lot of news going on. This is the other stuff.
We did all Trump at the beginning of the show. So if you missed any of the Trump coverage, we had Will Sharf on for the whole beginning of the show, plus Donald Trump's full statement that he made when he came out of the courtroom. So we did all that. Steve Moore, we're going to talk to him about Earth Day and hope he's made some really solid green investments. And by green investments, he's probably just thinking the color of cash. Steve Moore at 1:05, and then Jason Chaffetz about all of the money being spent on Capitol Hill that we don't have. So we're getting to the stuff. But until then, go ahead, Ryan.
Big show.
Big show.
I don't want to minimize this, though.
Adjacent to the big show.
Yeah, I'm right there near the peak. The peak is both in the first half of the first hour and the second hour, and then I'll come in.
The intro to the second.
Yeah. Like this is all around it. But I don't want to minimize this because I'm leading with this one because I felt like this one needs some attention here. California City has approved a $1 million per unit homeless housing project.
Wow.
And this is
$1 million
after
per unit?
$1 million per unit. After an audit, and this is right after this audit, found the state wasted billions of dollars on this crisis. This is Santa Monica. Officials last week approved a multi-million-dollar apartment unit for the homeless just days after the release of an audit which found that California could not account for $24 billion it had spent supposedly on the homeless crisis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you ever look what $1 million will get you in like Southern California and what it'll get you in like Belleville.
Yes, I have.
Just a minor disparity.
There's a difference. Your cost of living is much better here. Spoiler alert. The 122-unit building for the homeless will include a mix, get this, of studio apartments, 1, 2, and 3-bedroom apartments, along with ground floor retail and residential commercial parking spaces. The design concept available on the city's website shows that the multi-unit apartment will cost more than $123 million, and there's 122 apartments, so just over $1 million per unit. If I were living in Santa Monica, I think I would just say I was homeless.
Yeah.
I mean, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
A 1 to 3-bedroom apartment that they would just get for free.
There are
along with
people
parking.
in our community here who are getting free housing. The question is, can they take care of them? Can they maintain them? Can they continue to use those facilities as a way to cure the homeless problem, or do they just relocate the homeless problem?
Right.
Because if you don't maintain those investments, then what happens? Everybody knows what it's like to maintain a home if you own it and you don't have a what do you call the person who rents?
Tenant?
No,
the landlord?
Does landlord. Yeah, you don't have a landlord to call and say, fix this, fix that. That's the taxpayer that's going to have to fix it. So.
Yep. These are the issues we're dealing with now in 2024. Well, at least California is, although this is a widespread problem. Let's do an Earth Day story. Starbucks.
Hooray!
Yeah, this is for you guys.
For the Earth.
Starbucks.
You know who should be really excited? AOC. We're still here.
We made it.
In pretty much the same capacity as the time where she said we were like taking time bombs here.
It's really, if I were her, I would be walking around just sort of praising, using the Pentecostal flags because we made it. Praising God.
Pentecostal's feeling
a
little attacked.
No, I'm loving it. She should be just giddy because we made it past her date and everything's fine now. Starbucks has announced that they are using new plastic cups, and I'm assuming they did this in rolling out with Earth Day. The coffee chain has announced the rollout of new disposable cold cups with 20% less plastic. So, great. The new tall, grande, venti, and Trenta sized cups will use 10 to 20% less plastic than the previous cold cups, said the chain.
Hooray!
Does anybody want to comment on the fact that when I read this and read tall, grande, and venti, I went, which one is which again? Because
you did that in the correct order, shortest to biggest.
Yeah, but doesn't when you read it, tall sound like you're ordering the biggest one?
Not if you're refined.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah. Venti is
don't
20.
You speak Italian? Venti is 20.
Yeah, 20 what?
I don't get it either.
Is that what it is? It's 20 ounces?
Yeah.
I never understood.
And grande means big.
I don't get it either.
And Trenta, does anybody know that one?
That's the biggest one.
Can you order that in anything or just certain things?
Depends on the caffeine
I'm
content.
not that refined. Trenta. What does Trenta mean? Italian? What does it mean?
I don't know.
Brad?
30.
You said you knew
I
what?
don't speak Italian.
You knew venti.
I knew venti.
Whatever.
And I know grande because grande is the same in Spanish.
I'm going to speak on behalf of all of us, and you can change my mind if you want, that as long as the new cup is using less plastic and doesn't impact the product, great. But if they're going to do the little bitty caps like they do on the water bottles now that I can barely figure out that they're caps.
What are you talking about?
You know, like the really cheap water bottles that you get, the caps are almost as thin as like a fingernail.
And they just like pop off.
And they just come right off,
Yeah.
and they're hard to get on. Well, it's to reduce plastic. So as long as the reduction in
I
plastic.
don't think so. I think it's because they're cheap.
Yes, but
I don't think it has to do with. Are you talking about like a great value water bottle?
Yes, I am.
I don't really think great value is out saving the environment.
that's the way they're going to bill it, though. You know they are.
I don't know that Great Value as an off-brand is billing it that way.
Well, somebody's going, oh, we're just trying to save the planet. And you're like, yeah, you're trying to reduce costs.
Bobo says 30. I think Trenta is 30 ounces.
Okay.
Anyway.
Thank you, Bobo. I can say that as
Boo-boo.
often as possible, please. Last one here, if we have time for it. Florida couple charged after allegedly faking a $1 million lottery ticket.
You going to get away with that?
Kira Enders, 36, Dakota Jones, both of Defuniak Springs, Florida, are facing several charges, and their charges are big. We're talking larceny, grand theft of more than $100,000. Here's what they did. It's so great. I almost want to see them walk because it's so bold. Enders attempted to return what she said was a winning $50 scratch-off ticket from the Florida lottery game. 500 times the cash is the name of the game. However, authorities told CBS News Miami that the ticket displayed obvious altercations. And what Enders
Alterations or altercations?
It says altercations, but they meant alterations.
They fought.
They must have fought over the ticket. And what Enders tried to submit to the Florida lottery allegedly was 2 different tickets crudely taped together. They had an individual that they thought would crudely take 2 tickets, this is the sheriff saying this, and put them together and pretend as if it were $1 million winner.
Worth a shot. What's the penalty?
The penalty is severe. It is
on page
I'm
2.
looking at their charges. They were released from jail already with this, but their bonds are $20,000 and $17,000. So they cost themselves all this money after trying to.
So are they going to go to jail?
I don't know if this is just like until the trial or if that was their ultimate bond, but they knew that it was fake. The person calls in to the lottery office at the gas station and goes, "Hey, I think I got a fake one here. I'm pretty sure it's 2 tickets taped together." So they call these 2 people from the police office and say, "Hey, we want to confirm that these are real. Can you come down here?" And they're like, "Oh, yeah, sure." And then they just arrest them.
Easy peasy.
Yeah.
Lemon squeezy.
There you go.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, Steve Moore is going to join us, and we're going to talk to him about all of the investing that we've been doing in our earth and our green energy on our great-grandchildren's dime. We'll see what Steve Moore has to say about that in just a few minutes. And Jason Chaffetz on the busy weekend in the House, what they passed, what they didn't pass, and what are these Republicans supposed to do to expand their majority come November. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Mike Carter here of Carter Law Offices. You know, as an attorney, I make my way across the great state of Missouri on a pretty regular basis. And from the rivers to the lakes and the Ozark Mountains, it's really just a pleasure to travel across the great state of Missouri. And, you know, not to mention, we have the best sports team and the best cities and the friendliest small towns in America, it seems like. And Carter Law Offices wants to make sure Missouri's story gets out far and wide about our excellent business climate, our exceptional workforce. You'll hear more from me soon, Mike Carter.
Visit MikeCarter.com to see Mike's interviews with all of Missouri's elected leaders.
Mike Carter here of Carter Law Offices. You know, as an attorney, I make my way across the great state of Missouri on a pretty regular basis. And from the rivers to the lakes and the Ozark Mountains and the richest farmland around, it's really just a pleasure to travel across the great state of Missouri. And, you know, not to mention, we have the best sports team and the best cities and the friendliest small towns in America, it seems like. And Carter Law Offices wants to make sure Missouri's story gets out far and wide about our excellent business climate, our exceptional workforce. You'll hear more from me soon, Mike Carter.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw with Retirement Advisory Group. Are you worried about market volatility in this election year? Are you concerned your money won't last you through retirement?
Hi, I'm Tammy Kershaw, and as a family-owned business, we are committed to protecting your retirement, whether you're nearing retirement or already retired. We have a lot of folks that aren't aware of all the new investment choices that are available, which give you growth and protection from losses at the same time. Are you aware of all the fees that you are currently paying? We can show you how to avoid those fees. So come in now for your free retirement review and get a second opinion on your retirement plan. And just for coming in, you'll get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. Let us show you how to retire with confidence.
We are proud to say we haven't lost a penny of our clients' money in 38 years, and we won't lose a penny of yours either. Let our family help your family. Call us now at 314-993-9494 or go online to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
A sixth day of protests at Columbia University. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. And similar protests have spread to other college campuses after last week's temporary tent encampment at Columbia was broken up.
NYU has tents just like here where I am now. And this morning out at Yale in New Haven, Connecticut, there was chaos on and near that campus. People waving flags and chanting pro-Palestinian slogans. Police there told students either get out or get arrested.
Fox's Alexis McAdams near the Columbia campus, where the university president shifted to remote classes today in an effort to de-escalate. Critics say the school isn't doing enough to keep Jewish students safe, as some protesters openly support Hamas.
If these people were screaming at any other group of people, this would be taken care of.
Actor Michael Rappaport speaking in support of Israel earlier today. New England Patriots owner and Columbia alum Robert Kraft indicating he'll pull funding from his alma mater, at least for now. In a statement issued through his foundation to combat anti-Semitism, Kraft calling for corrective action, saying he's no longer confident Columbia can protect students and staff. Day one of testimony is done at the first Trump criminal trial.
Prosecutors opened saying the former president attempted to corrupt the 2016 election by lying about payments to an adult film actress, Stormy Daniels, in his company's financial records. Former President Trump said he did nothing wrong.
They call it a legal expense. That's the exact term they use, legal expense.
His lawyers add the state's star witness, Michael Cohen, is a liar, not to be believed on the stand. The former president faces 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. He's pleaded not guilty. A first witness was called, ex-National Enquirer CEO David Pecker, who will continue testimony Tuesday.
Fox's Gernal Scott. This was an abbreviated day in court because of a juror's medical issue. America is listening to Fox News.
Moments like hearing my cat purr good morning mean a lot to me. But after being diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, or MBC, which is breast cancer that is spread to other parts of the body, they mean even more. I take Ibrance, palbociclib. Ibrance 125 milligram tablets with an aromatase inhibitor is for adults with HR-positive, HER2-negative MBC as the first hormonal-based therapy. Ask your doctor about Ibrance and visit Ibrance.com. Ibrance may cause low white blood cell counts that may lead to serious infections. Ibrance may cause severe inflammation of the lungs. Both of these can lead to death. Tell your doctor right away if you have new or worsening symptoms, including trouble breathing, shortness of breath, cough, or chest pain. Before taking Ibrance, tell your doctor if you have fever, chills, or other signs of infection, liver or kidney problems, are or plan to become pregnant, or are breastfeeding. Common side effects include low red blood cell and low platelet counts, infections, tiredness, nausea, sore mouth, abnormalities in liver blood tests, diarrhea, hair thinning or loss, vomiting, rash, and loss of appetite.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
All about sunshine, all about winds turning to the south. It gets a little windy this afternoon, but it's warmer. 69, 70. Tonight, partly cloudy skies, 52 for the overnight low. Evening temperatures in the 60s. Enjoy. Tuesday, a mix of clouds and sunshine. A couple of light rain showers, maybe a rumble of thunder. It's not much. And the focus Tuesday afternoon with a high near 70. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
The Patriot Training Foundation trains law enforcement and military at the region's top facility free of charge. Kim Sainanj here. We're raising awareness for the Patriot Training Foundation's mission to serve those who serve our nation. Visit 971talk.com/care to learn more.
Hey, if you're in the rental business, I know ya. I am too. And your ultimate goal is to get that rental rented and then not have to think about it. So it's, of course, back to time and money as usual. If you got a guy for everything, allow me to recommend a guy. This is my guy, Sean, and his wife, Kristen, Rapid Rental Renovations. Here's what's great about them. You don't have to keep a Rolodex of 100 people who do each individual thing for you. Add them to your Rolodex and maybe make them the first call that you make next time you have a tenant move out and you need anything done, because they do everything. Painting, flooring, light fixtures, bathroom updates, lock changes, blinds, the typical stuff, but also roofs and all the painting of your cabinets, walls, whatever you need done, they can get it done. And ultimately, it's all about time and money. They just do rentals. So they are perfect for you if you do rentals and you're looking to save time and money. Call them, Rapid Rental Renovations. You can get their phone number, text, or call them by visiting murphycleanoutservices.com.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. So we build specially adapted homes at Homes for Our Troops. And thanks to our donors and supporters, this life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free to these veterans. But we need you to join us, too, in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
1 in 4 Americans have a disability. I'm one of them. I'm also a working mom who cares deeply about making sure every child with a disability thrives by getting their access needs met. We've got a trusted ally by our side. Easter Seals provides children and families the foundation for lifelong success through early learning programs, skills training, and prep for college and career. That's my Easter Seals. Make it yours. Join us at easterseals.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
If you've been injured in a truck accident, you need the best. Onder Law. Let us make your case our cause. Truck accident? Call Onder Law for a free review at 314 or 618-9000000.
Hi, I'm Libby, and I'm a patient at Cardinal Glennon. With your help, Homers for Health can make a huge impact on my hospital. From new spaces to new treatments, a difference is being made for patients every single day. Glennon kids like me owe everything to people like you. Please make your pledge for patients today at homersforhealth.org. Thank you so much for your support. Again, that's homersforhealth.org.
Tune in to the Home Improvement Show sponsored by Mosby Building Arts, Saturdays 12 to 1 p.m. on 97.1 for expert advice on remodeling, design, and construction. This live Q&A show begins at noon, or find podcasts at mosbybuildingarts.com.
The Annie Fry Show YouTube live chat poll of the day is sponsored by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Happy Earth Day. Today, I'm reminded of the work we must do to protect our future generations and continue the historic progress we're making. It starts with my Inflation Reduction Act, the most significant investment in climate, clean energy, and environmental justice ever. It builds on our global leadership. After we rejoined the Paris Agreement, set standards to cut pollution, quadruple the number of electric vehicles sold, and sparked a U.S. manufacturing boom that's created 270,000 clean energy jobs and counting. And today, for the first time, Americans can apply to join my American Climate Corps, so everyone has a pathway to a clean energy career. And we're also announcing a $7 billion award through the Solar for All program to cut utility bills for nearly 1 million low-income households. Folks, we're making progress, and we're just getting started. On Earth Day, let's remember there's nothing beyond our capacity when we act together.
Well, I'll tell you my favorite thing about that little PSA there is the music. It's real catchy behind it. And it is amazing to me that in a pre-produced thing that it's still hard to understand what the President of the United States is saying. But I did hear him saying investment, investment, investment. And I did hear him say that he would cut utility bills. And I wonder if he'll cut utility bills like he cut gas prices. Remember, it was $2.39 on his first day in office. And now we're paying $4 a gallon here. We'll see how he handles all of this. Happy Earth Day, Stephen Moore. I know this is a big day. A big day. You like green. I like green. It's a different kind of green, I think. But we're grateful to have you here to talk a little economics. Thank you for being here from the Heritage Foundation. The president is doing a lot of investment. Where is he getting the money, and what's the payoff?
Well, good to be with you, Annie. And before we get into that, I do want to say something about Earth Day, because a lot of school children and a lot of Americans don't realize this. But, today in America, we have the cleanest air and cleanest water we've ever had in the history of this country. And so, we have created a better environment, and it's a real it's been a real triumph. Back in and by the way, most people are probably surprised to hear that. Most people think, probably 50 years ago, the air was cleaner than it is today. No, it's much, much cleaner today. And that's despite the fact that we become the industrial powerhouse of the world. So that's something to celebrate. And I'm talking, by the way, when I talk about clean air, I'm talking about real pollutions. Those are things like carbon monoxide, lead, sulfur, particulates in the air that can make you sick and, cause problems breathing for people with asthma. Carbon monoxide is a pollution. Carbon dioxide is not a pollution. So I wanted to stress that point. Where is all this money coming from for all these green energy projects? Well, we're borrowing trillions of dollars. We keep spending money on green energy. In fact, I was just on Fox just before I came on your show and made this point that we spend tens and hundreds of billions of dollars on these green energy projects, and yet we're still using record amounts of fossil fuels. Why? Because fossil fuels are much more efficient ways of getting energy. I mean, there's a reason that 200 years ago we stopped using windmills, right? Because they're not a very smart way to get electricity. What made our industrial revolution in this country possible, it's a little history lesson for folks, is when we had the steam engines and things like that. How were those powered? Not with windmills, not with sun panels, but with oil, gas, and coal. And we should be using all the energy that we have. Whether it's nuclear, whether it's oil, gas, coal, in some cases solar, hydropower, because I'm sick and tired of having to get oil and gas from, foreign.
Yeah. It seems to be not important for this administration to manage the oil reserves that we have, the strategic reserves. They are played with in order to, it's always circa the election time. It's tap into that so gas prices can get lower. We're paying about $4 a gallon here on the Missouri-Illinois border, $2.39 on day one. How does he explain that to his voters who are saying, you want to lower my utility bills? My gas bill is outrageous.
So, first of all, the gas price was $2.50 a gallon when Trump left office, and around the country it's about $3.69, $3.79. I think you said you pay $4, and I was in California last week. They pay about $6 a gallon. But the energy crisis here happened because as soon as Biden came in, remember the first thing he did was kill the pipeline that we need to transport our oil and gas, which makes it more expensive. But at this point, you made another point, and I want to address this about, Biden saying that utility bills will be lower. No, they won't. If you look at states and cities that have requirements of using certain amounts of green energy, like 50%, 60%, 80%, the states with the strictest requirements that they get their energy and electric power from wind and solar, those have utility prices for homeowners and businesses that are about twice as high as those that just use the free market and use the best, whether it's gas or coal or nuclear. So it's not true that this is going to cut utility bills. It'll make them more expensive.
I just because it's Earth Day, and I know that there is a lot of money. It's a big industry, a very lucrative industry for people to get into the green energy game. There's a clip that I play every chance I get. This is from February 16th of 2023, and this is Senator Kennedy, because they're asking for $50 trillion or something. There's this outrageous number that Senator Kennedy was throwing out there when he was talking about the ability to lower the world temperature. Just listen to this here.
If we spend $50 trillion to make the United States of America carbon neutral by 2050, how much will that lower world temperatures?
I can't answer that because we don't know what China and India and the rest of the globe has done.
Okay. Have you heard anybody from the Biden administration say how much it will lower world temperatures?
No.
Does anybody know how much it will lower world temperatures? No?
To think, I mean, the 50 trillion with a T, that is funny money's funny money. To think we could invest that much and we couldn't even have a range of what we could do. And then we realize who owns our debt. And you talk about what China and India and so on and so forth are going to do or not do. Is this just a political game that is being played? Is there green energy to invest in that's smart for a progressive future? How do you look at the investments that need to be made and the ones that are being made to be political?
Well, we should let the free market work here, and we should use whatever energy sources make the most sense from look, countries that we use energy so that we can be productive and produce things that, our schools, our churches, our factories, our cars, we need energy. And so I think that we should be letting whatever is the most economical, use that. When energy prices rise, it raises the prices of everything, that we have, the food that we eat, the computers we use. Don't forget how much power is being used by the internet. And don't forget that this new next generation of artificial intelligence, it uses massive amounts of energy. So we're going to need a lot of energy in the future. And the estimate that I'd seen, by the way, in answer to that question the senator was asking, is that in 50 years, we may be able to reduce the global temperature by about 0.07 degrees. So that means instead of, let's say, the world temperature being 60 degrees, it's going to be 59.93 degrees. Oh, that's going to save the planet.
$50 trillion worth?
Right? No, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
This is not this. You made this point. I want to repeat it. They call it the green movement, not because it's green as in the environment being green. It's green because they want the green stuff. They want the money. It's all about the money. We have built a massive climate change industrial complex in this country, and a lot of people are getting really, really, really rich off of it, but it's not changing the planet whatsoever.
Last question before we let you go. We're speaking with Steve Moore, Distinguished Fellow in Economics at the Heritage Foundation. You are an economic advisor to Donald Trump. How much of his economic plan surrounds what he does as the president via energy?
Are you talking about Trump or Biden?
Trump.
Oh, Trump.
Yes.
Well,
maybe a little different than now.
I guarantee you he's going to be all in on American energy. We're going to build the pipelines. We're going to build the LNG terminals. We're going to drill. We're going to build nuclear power plants. We're going to bring back clean coal because that's, still a big part of it. Where possible, we'll use clean energy, but we're not going to mandate it. We're going to make it compete. People want to buy an electric car. Your God-given right is to buy whatever car you want, but we're not going to mandate it. We're going to get rid of all these mandates that say you have to buy an electric vehicle because guess what? 80% of Americans don't want an electric vehicle.
Yeah, and as the companies have to work to make the electrical vehicle more attractive to consumers, they'll just get better and better.
There you go.
Steve Moore, thank you. We appreciate it. Happy Earth Day. We appreciate having you on the show.
You too. Take care.
Bye-bye. He is a distinguished fellow in economics at the Heritage Foundation, a Trump economic advisor, and he wrote the book on it, Govzilla, How the Relentless Growth of Government is Devouring Our Economy and Our Freedom. Go get a copy of that and check it out. Grateful to have Steve Moore with us there. I want to take a break here. We're going to have Jason Chaffetz come on the show with us. I've got a lot to talk to him about, but those spending bills that are passing in the House, you got a Republican majority by, I think, 2 seats right now. Off the top of my head, I think there are 5 seats that are vacant but will be filled before the November election via special elections. I think that's the number. So it's kind of a fluid situation. What does the Republican Party need to do right now to get through November to make sure that they actually have a functioning majority come January when we hopefully have a Republican president? And I also want to ask Jason Chaffetz what he thinks about the disruption with the Marjorie Taylor Greene, the motion to vacate, the one person can pull the ripcord and make the whole thing happen. What would Jason Chaffetz advise the House Republicans to do? Well, he'll tell us on the Annie Frey Show when we return. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Jen Teskey, Remax Alliance Realtor. Oh, go to her. Go to her. 618-541-1010. 618-541-1010. The best in the business on the Illinois side of the river for helping you buy your next home or for helping you list and sell your next home. She's going to tell you what you really need to know, not just what you want to hear, because let's be honest, that's not the way good real estate ends up happening, because you got to take your home and list it so that it's attractive to the masses, not to your own personal interests. And sometimes that involves a little maneuvering, and she's got a team that is there that is top notch at helping you make that transition so you can get the home sold so that you can move on to the next thing in your life. Jen Teskey is helping people all across the Illinois side of the river, especially focusing on those Edwardsville, Glen-Carbon, Maryville, Troy, Collinsville areas and around there, making sure that the home that they're listing competes and shows in a really great light in this very, very on fire market. If you've thought about listing your home, call her and just have the conversation, figure out how to find out what it is that you need to do to get it sold for top dollar. Call her at 618-541-1010, 618-541-1010, online at jenteskeyhomes.com.
You know, most people never get to sit down with elected officials and ask them about the important issues. I'm Judge Mike Carter, and that's exactly why I host the news talk program, Justice and Journalism, with me, Judge Mike Carter. My goal is to bring those who represent us closer to the people they serve. I ask the questions you would in a no-nonsense manner. That's why we've been able to interview so many top local, state, and federal officials, because as a judge, I offer an unbiased, one-on-one conversation that's hard to find elsewhere these days. Besides serving as judge, I have a journalism degree, which is how the name of the show, Justice and Journalism, with me, Judge Mike Carter, evolved. You never know who we'll interview next, from Governor Parson to prosecutors, sports figures to Missouri business leaders. Justice and Journalism with me, Judge Mike Carter, airs on Fox and ABC. You can also watch our past shows at MikeCarter.com, where we ask the questions and let you be the judge.
If you'd like to see more of Judge Mike Carter's interviews on his program, Justice and Journalism, visit MikeCarter.com. That's MikeCarter.com.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel, and host of On the Money, Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
Now is a great time to act on that big spring or summer project you're planning in the backyard with Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Mark Cox here. Call Chesterfield Fence and Deck, mention my name, and receive 20% off an installed outdoor project for the entire month of April. Take advantage of this. You're going to love Chesterfield Fence. They've been around 56 years under the same ownership, and it's the sign you have the very best, because they take such pride in what they do. They encourage you to visit their showroom. It's in Chesterfield Valley off 109. They have beautiful displays down there of their fences, their decks, the different options you have with cedar or vinyl. They've also got their pergolas, their sunrooms, their screen rooms, and their patios. They also give you free in-home estimates and free project design. You can't beat that. They are a Better Business Bureau Torch Award winner. Call them at 636-532-4054 or visit them online at chesterfieldfence.com.
Wait a second. Think twice before signing that petition. That innocent petition is not a replacement for Roe versus Wade. We're talking late term and partial birth, long after the baby can feel pain. But that's not all. Signing that petition obliterates parental rights. Worse, it strips away malpractice protections for prenatal care, childbirth, miscarriage care, and all other reproductive health care. So if you or your loved one is hurt while accessing reproductive care, you forfeit your rights to sue. So think twice before signing that petition and support our work at Coalition Life. Coalition Life is on a mission. We're dedicated to helping women faced with untimely pregnancies, providing them with compassionate alternatives that empower them with choices that protect and uphold their rights. Visit coalitionlife.com to learn more, because every life deserves a chance. Paid for by Coalition Life.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Get in your comfort zone with double carrier cool cash rebates up to $4,200 and 0% financing for up to 72 months on a new HVAC system. For details and a free estimate, visit aircomfortservice.com.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Twitter @AnnieFryShow.
This is the sellout of America today. When we had members of Congress in there waving the Ukrainian flag on the United States House of Representatives floor, while we're doing nothing to secure our border, I think every American in this country should be furious. Who's going to vote for these people? How can you vote for these people? They don't serve our country.
Well, Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to be heard, of course, and she has been the one who's been toying with the motion to vacate Speaker Johnson. Just need one. The Matt Gaetz of this current situation seems to be MTG. And she's saying that the $95 billion of foreign aid that was passed individually for Ukraine, Israel, and the Indo-Pacific is a sellout of the country. And a lot of this from the outside looking in looks like drama, drama, drama. We have our principles. We know what we want to be funded, but it gets into the House with such a narrow majority and becomes very complicated to see the forest for the trees. I'm going to bring on our guest who's hopefully going to straighten some of this out for us. Jason Chaffetz is a Fox News contributor, and I also very much encourage you to check out his book, The Puppeteers. He's the former chairman of the House Oversight Committee, and you can learn more at jasoninthehouse.com. Jason, welcome back to the show. It's great to have you here to talk about this today.
Hey, thanks, Annie. Always good to be with you.
Thank you. I want to give you the opportunity to react just in general on the aid passage that took place this weekend. Mike Johnson managed to get the job done. Marjorie Taylor Greene, of course, very frustrated with the manner that they went through and then the passage of some of this spending. Is this just drama on the outside looking in? Is this how the sausage is made? What do you think?
It is how the sausage is made, but I don't like the outcome. I mean, there are some very important things to deal with and push back on Russia and China and Iran. You know, you can be supportive of Israel and Ukraine, but I think the other thing is securing our own border and securing the United States of America. So if you have that array of choices that are before you, I believe securing our border, it should be the number one priority. Everything else is secondary. If you don't protect your border, you don't have a country. You're going to lose this country. And so you have to protect that border. So in the final package, when you couple them all together, if it doesn't have border security, I wouldn't vote for that. And I got a lot of respect for people who support the funding for Israel and support Ukraine and do all that. But I really think you have to also understand that Democrats will not come to the table. Democrats are the ones that will not fund securing our border. They do not want policies in place that lock down that border. And so I wish that Marjorie Taylor Greene would spend as much time talking about Hakeem Jeffries and the Democrats as she did about Republicans. And I think that would go over a lot better than the way it's been going over so far.
Yeah, I would agree with that. We're speaking with former Congressman Jason Chaffetz, Fox News contributor and author. I don't understand how we can't be primarily, as an entire Republican Party, focused primarily on the border and force the hand of the people who are in the minority, even if it's a teeny tiny minority or it's a huge minority, if you can have such a thing. I've talked to current congressmen on this show, and they say, you know, we passed H.R. 2. They've sent it over. Chuck Schumer doesn't want to do anything about it. How does it work in the House when you've got an Israel funding bill or Ukraine or Indo-Pacific, whatever it is? How do you make it so that you reemphasize border security as a priority over these other things that are, yes, still important?
Well, they did that, and the House has passed important legislation. And let's remember, it was Joe Biden and Kamala Harris that issued nearly 100 executive orders undoing what Donald Trump had done. And so, again, I think 100% of the blame on the lack of security at our border, the reason we're not impeaching Secretary Mayorkas, the reason the border is not locked down is 100%
because of the Democrats. That is their position, and they are lockstep. You find one that's willing to break ranks, you're not going to find them. That is core to their position. And so, I don't think Speaker Johnson is the problem. We had a sort of unofficial rule when I was in the House, when we were in the majority, and that is if the majority of the majority want to have something brought up, then you bring it up for a vote. And if you lose that vote, you lose that vote. But you try as best you can to make the case. What I find about Marjorie Taylor Greene is she's failing at her job. She is not persuasive. Our founders set it up such, Annie, that they want you to be as persuasive as possible. No one person gets their thing. You can rant and rave and post all you want on Instagram, but if you're not able to persuade others to the position that you see, you're going to ultimately be a failure. And that's the way I see what she's doing so far.
We're speaking with former Congressman Jason Chaffetz. When you're saying be persuasive, I'm very interested in this. Are you saying, probably maybe it's both, but are you talking about persuading her coworkers there in Congress? Are you talking about at this point now just persuading voters to make sure that we get a bigger majority so that we have a little more breathing room? Because it does feel very much so like some of the people who turn into influencers once they get into politics. It doesn't feel so much like they're trying to move the ball down the court. They just want to make sure that they're in the spotlight while the drama is going on. And I don't really know where MTG is on that on any particular issue. I got to pay close attention each and every time. But where do you want to see the persuasion happening?
With other members of Congress. Look, when I was in Congress, Barack Obama was the president almost the entire time. I passed 7 substantive bills. You can't do it unless you're able to persuade some Democrats to come along with you. I look, the whole of the Republicans has got to continue to beat the drum and remind people every single step of the way. The reason our border isn't secure is because of Democrats. And again, our founders didn't envision that you had to have the best Instagram following. They wanted you to have to fight for something and persuade other members of Congress to go your way. That's what it's ultimately about. That's why there are 435 members and there's 100 senators. It's not if you wanted a glide path to just get what one person's done, you'd have a different form of government. So you can rail. Look, I'm not saying. Where I take issue with her is to suggest that this is Speaker Johnson's fault. It's not. That is where the body is as a whole, and it's a problem. And Republicans, if they want to do better, they have to go out and win elections.
Yeah, and I think that Speaker Johnson, being somebody who we all had to study when he took the speakership because he wasn't as widely known as maybe Kevin McCarthy had been or others. It's hard to look at him and see how he could possibly make any decision that won't offend somebody on one side or the other always to, enter into that motion to vacate. So how is it that the Republican majority does go through these final months where they still either A, have the majority or B, before they lose it? How do they function this way if it's always, if you offend one person, they're going to be out and then we're going to have to go through that circus again?
Well, I thought Kevin McCarthy did all of us a real disservice when he agreed to allow the rules package to have the motion to vacate at just one member. I tend to think it should be bigger. I mean, I called that out at the time. I think that should be maybe 10% of the majority, make it like 24 members. If 24 members come together and they want to, have another vote on who the speaker is, that's great. But one member, I mean, that seems extreme. And I think until they change that, they're going to continue to have this problem. Remember, Democrats can pull this up at any time that they want as well. Republicans, the last few months here of this election, it really is about messaging. Nothing, I think, outside of what just passed of any substance will pass the body. It's going to be about the next election. And so you better be good on your messaging and getting out the vote if you actually want to persuade people and be able to have a mandate to come in and change things. And I wish, again, I think I would have voted no on the final package because unless it had border security as the number one item, I'm a no.
Right.
And I think they should have held the line, in my opinion. But I don't blame Speaker Johnson for that.
Okay, Jason Chaffetz with us right now. Your book is The Puppeteers, the people who control America. And it becomes even more interesting as we get closer to this election. You can kind of tell when someone's getting a little close to being over the target and the people who get all ruffled up. We've watched President Trump today. He spoke after the first half day of the trial in his hush money trial in Manhattan. But, of course, those legal issues are all over the place. And it's kind of hard to campaign and message right now outside of Donald Trump. But it does seem like the biggest threat that Donald Trump would be, should he get reelected, is to the people who control America. It seems as though he is a threat to that. I wanted to know what you think about the lawfare that's taking place right now and what a second term of his presidency might mean for the bureaucracy that's in place.
Well, look, the voters got to see Donald Trump for 4 years, and all these things that the Democrats said about, he'd create all these world wars and the economy would be real bad, and he'd do this, that, and he'd spy on his opponents. Well, that's what the Democrats have essentially done. I mean, that's what we got with Joe Biden. The whole promise of Joe Biden is just been a lie. It's just been fiction. He was going to unite the country. So I think the Democrats are going to pay a political price for the lawfare that they've been engaged with. I think they've overreached. I don't think the average person walking down the streets of St. Louis can tell you why in the world Donald Trump is involved in a trial right now. Like, what did he do that was so egregious and bad that he might go to jail? I mean, nobody can even tell you. The prosecution has a hard time telling you what that is. So people understand that it's an overreach. It's politically motivated. And why is it coming up now? Just happens to be 5-6 months before an election? Yeah, right. What a coincidence. These things happened like so many years ago, before the 2016 election. Now it's coming up? Come on.
Yeah, I've said this before, but I don't think we're as stupid as they need us to be in a lot of these scenarios. Last question before we let you go. We're speaking with Jason Chaffetz. I encourage you to check out his book, The Puppeteers. It's a really interesting read, and you'll learn a lot. But I wonder, you've been very close to, how the sausage is made, to use that former reference, in Washington, D.C., and I feel like when Donald Trump is the president, you're getting Donald Trump's administration. When Joe Biden's been the president, I don't feel like he's in command. There's a lot of, I guess, har ways that you could explain that he doesn't seem to be in charge of his faculties or the country. But are those puppeteers, do they have a bigger job in the Biden administration than maybe they've ever had before?
Well, I think you're seeing why they like him to be there, because all he really wants to do is get his next scoop of ice cream. And so they can run amok, and, the book talks about people like the money managers and Larry Fink and Susan Rice and these people behind the scenes that are able to do things that maybe they wouldn't be able to otherwise do. And so when you start to understand how they use money and not-for-profits and unions and Randy Weingarten at the teachers union, how they're able to get their way, there's a whole lot of reason why there's support for Joe Biden, even though he's not a really good negotiator. He has a hard time negotiating his way up a set of stairs.
That's true. So, that's facts.
And so, but they like him there because he is this puppet, and the guy can't debate. He won't even go on the Super Bowl with a free opportunity to talk to 100 million people. He can't do it. He just simply cannot do the job. So I think the country has a clear choice, even though he's all being wrapped up in the election. I still don't think that. I think America sees that. And I like the way you phrased that, Annie. I think that was a really good way to phrase that.
We're not as stupid as they need us to be. Maybe close on some days. I don't know, but I just don't. I have faith in America, and I pray about it a lot. So I need some resolve there. Jason Chaffetz, thank you for being with us. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Annie.
We'll talk to you again. Bye-bye. Go check out his book, The Puppeteers, the people who control America. And got a Liz Warren and an Adam Schiff, Joe Biden, Schumer, Kamala Harris on the front cover of his book. And if you want to know how things go in Washington, D.C., and learn a little bit of the background and those names specifically, he does name names. It's a wonderful book to check out. It's called The Puppeteers by Jason Chaffetz. All right. that is the guests of the show. Now we're going to unpack some other things when we come back. I want to talk about the protests that are taking place. Michael Rappaport, this guy, like, if there was a, what do you call the first patient? Patient zero?
Patient zero.
Of TDS?
Yeah.
It might have been Rappaport.
Uh-huh.
He was not a Trump guy.
Not at all.
I don't think that he's completely gotten over that, but he has some sense about him that is coming out. And he, I don't know that it has to do specifically today with Donald Trump, but he is out there speaking in the streets of New York City and speaking to the American public in support of Jewish people. Like, what kind of world are we living in right now where we need to go out and say this? Well, if you've been watching what's going on our college campuses, we should all be going out and saying it. Michael Rappaport made quite a speech, and we're going to play that for you. You can watch it with us, too, on the Annie Fry YouTube channel when we come back. Don't go away.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Twitter @AnnieFryShow.
Air Comfort Service, you find them online at aircomfortservice.com or give them a call at 314-513-0091. 314-513-0091. I have told you about how they've come to my home to replace my whole HVAC system, the furnace and air conditioner separately, but within a year of each other. And we were at that place in our house where it had been about 22 years or so since the house had been built, and stuff just stops working. And when you want to make sure that you get the best product, you want to go to Air Comfort Service. If you want to make sure you're getting the best service, you go to Air Comfort Service. And if you also want to make sure that you're going to somewhere that's going to care about the dollars that you have to invest in this new system in your home, you go to Air Comfort Service. They have amazing opportunities to connect you with the rebates that are available. Right now, you can save up to $4,200 with a double carrier cool cash rebates on qualifying systems. And also, you can qualify for up to 0% financing for up to 72 months. This is an enormous amount of savings, puts money back in your pocket, and a great HVAC system in your home. 314-513-0091, aircomfortservice.com.
Traffic law counselors is where we go when the police hassle us. Go to 45bucks.com.
This is Mike Carter, founder of 45bucks.com, or as you know it, Traffic Law Counselors. And right now, around tax time, we know folks are taking care of issues that they may have been putting off for a while. Maybe a driving while suspended or a warrant, things that you may have been worrying about for a little while. And we specialize in keeping folks' records clean. They come to us on a Monday, they can't drive, and by the end of that week on a Friday, we've got them back in the driver's seat driving legally. And that's very gratifying. And God forbid you're wrestling with something like a DWI. You can go to DWISTL.com. We got 10 paralegals and attorneys that are working on those cases nonstop, and depositions, trials, hearings, and we can put that to work for you as well. In fact, it's the enduring success of Traffic Law Counselors that has enabled us to be the preeminent DWI attorneys in St. Louis at DWISTL.com. So now you know, if you have a traffic matter, it's 45bucks.com. If you've got a DWI issue, it's DWISTL.com.
Choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
At Lakeside Renovation and Design, our secret sauce isn't just the tools we use or the materials we choose. It's our people. We're not just builders. We're local craftsmen, highly skilled in our trades. Our team takes immense pride in transforming homeowners' visions into reality. We're not just in the business of remodeling. We're in the business of making homes more beautiful, comfortable, and valuable. What sets us apart? Integrity and honesty. Our craftsmen exceed expectations because we care. Lakeside, where every nail, every cut, every detail is a testament to our commitment to you.
The YouTube live chat poll of today, we've been talking about it. Will Trump be found guilty in the initial hush money trial? This is a tough question. We'd like to know whether you are a yes or a no and why. So type in Annie Fry into YouTube. You will find the live chat poll there. That's how you participate. 1:43 right now. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
We're here to help you get registered to vote, whether you're in Missouri or Illinois. Democracy 2024 on 97.1 FM Talk. If you need help getting registered, go to 971talk.com/vote.
Joe and Bobby Sue. Two young lovers with nothing better to do than sit around the house.
This is The Annie Fry Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Fry Show.
Headed down to El Paso. I swear they ran into a great big hassle. Billy Joe shot a man while robbing his castle. Bobby Sue took the money and run.
Last night, what you saw at Columbia University is open support for Hamas. Holding signs saying, El Qassam Brigade, your next target, pointing at Jewish students. So here you have it. While U.S. citizens are being held hostage in Gaza by Hamas and by the Islamic Jihad, you have students at Columbia University and faculty at Columbia University who are cheering on Hamas. They are denying. And the administration, Columbia's administration, not only won't do anything about it, they are refusing to let the NYPD in. They are letting the terrorists in and keeping the NYPD out. So my message is not to the cowards at Columbia's administration. My message is to the mayor. We don't need your empty remarks about not being okay. Right now, we are not okay.
That is a Jewish professor at Columbia University. If you haven't seen these images, it is disgusting what is being allowed to participate or to take place at Columbia University right now in the face of Jewish people who do not feel safe on the campus with which they are students or professors. Why? Simply because of who they are as people. Simply because of who they are as people. I mean, we have had a lot of protests, a lot of civil rights conversations in this country about not treating people because of who they are as people in this kind of a way. But here we are in 2024, and it's disgusting. Here is a video and an audio of Michael Rappaport, who is not the guy who I would expect to be out there saying this, but the truth is that maybe I need to learn a little bit more about Michael Rappaport. Maybe I'm the ignorant one for not understanding a little bit more about him, but I am learning. I am hearing him. He is in New York City, and he comes out in front of a press pool of microphones and surrounded by people in NYC.
Speaking outside Columbia University in favor of Israel protesters. Watch.
Their race, their religion, their sexuality in this city. It's an embarrassment. And like I said, if these people were screaming at any other group of people, this would be taken care of. I'm wishing everybody a happy, safe Passover. I'm wishing everybody to pray, to think, to meditate, to scream, yell, beg if you need be for the freedom of our hostages. I'm Israel High. All right.
And then they cheer him and he walks away. But I mean, he's there and he's participating and he's doing what he needs to do to say, no, this is absolutely not okay. And somebody needs to speak up and say it. And I applaud him for being one who would do that. I wonder what Bill Maher has to say about this.
Now, then there's the people who don't want Israel to get any money. That's the pro-Palestinian protesters. They have been out this weekend. They were closing down bridges in San Francisco, New York, several other cities. That's their new thing, bridges. Get on the bridge and stop people from getting across the bridge. And the people are all saying, I'm trying to get on the bridge. Where is a drifting cargo ship when you need one?
All right, so there's one solution for the matter. Bill Maher out there saying this about people who are, I mean, like if everything in the world comes down to red versus blue, Bill Maher is still Team Blue, right? He's never said that he's not a Democrat. He's criticized significantly what the Democratic Party has been doing here, especially under Joe Biden. I don't think that that's the solution. I hope that you don't think that's the solution, but the irony in his comment there and the laugh that he gets makes me think that a lot of people are sick and tired of the disruption that is being not just permitted, but entertained in this country, as if there's some sort of patriotic obligation to allow these morons to shut down bridges so that everybody else's life has to be disturbed. That's not how it works. Ron DeSantis commented.
Well, first on what's happening in these college campuses, if I were in charge, I would send the Justice Department after those universities, because this is unacceptable to have this type of anti-Semitism where it's not just bad speech. They're really targeting Jewish students. It's a hostile environment and violates the civil rights of those students. And these universities, they just aren't willing to do what needs to be done.
Where is the action? We already did this. We did this in 2020. We watched as a political movement swept the country and destroyed the country. We've gone through this. There's no requirement to sit idly by while these people do things to destroy our way of life, to impede our ability to drive from point A to point B on a bridge. And in what world do we live in if Columbia University is being taken over by people who make Jewish people afraid to show their faces? There is a video, I don't know, Brad, if I sent this to you, or you might have sent this to me. I think it was in the UK, and there was a pro-Palestinian rally taking place. And do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, is this with the police?
The police are talking to a man who is wearing a yarmulke, and he is presenting as Jewish. Why? Because he's Jewish. This is who he is. This is his religion. This is what we fight in the United States of America to protect when we say freedom of religion. Not freedom from a religion, I mind you, but freedom of religion. And the police in the UK were saying, like, you can't be here. And the reason he couldn't be there is because he looked Jewish.
Yeah.
It was outrageous. He goes, these people are going to attack you, and I'm not going to be able to protect you. That was the message of that video. There are people in the United States of America who attend Columbia University right now, and they present as Jewish, or maybe somebody could just assume that they're Jewish. Imagine that. And then they're not safe. Why are we not in an uproar? I mean, I wasn't there in the early to mid 1930s, but I've read enough about it. Why are we not screaming from the rooftops to knock this crap off? It's outrageous. To me, I think it's outrageous to a lot of people, and any comparisons that are being made to the motive behind, like the emotion behind what took place in 2020 with those protests, comparing it to right now, this is a very different animal. This feels very different from the outside looking in. And I don't think that any of us should sit idly by and keep quiet, because we need to be vocal. We need to reestablish in this country what is acceptable behavior and what is not acceptable behavior. I am not interested in seeing another bridge be shut down for any length amount of time. You talk about that video that you sent me.
So
Oh, my hand! He's squirting my hand. He's squeezing my hand.
So this is a little behind the scenes. We were watching whenever the Golden Gate Bridge was blocked off. We were watching that and be like, why don't the police just remove these people from the bridge and get traffic going again? Well, they had barrels filled up with, I don't know if it was cement or sand with PVC pipe in it. And in the PVC pipe, they had chained themselves to rebar within the PVC pipe, so you couldn't just pick them up and move them without moving these 55-gallon drums. Well, the police had to cut the rebar. And, like, in this video, you can see this protester's hand in there.
Like through the PVC pipe.
Yeah, through the PVC pipe, holding on to the rebar. The police go in with bolt cutters, cut the bottom part of this piece of this bar.
Did they cut his hand?
No.
Okay.
They don't.
His hand was okay?
Yeah, it was separated by the PVC pipe, you know. And so then they start twisting the bar to see if it's loose. And they're like, yeah, it's loose. And he's like, you're cutting my hand.
And the whole time this is happening, was it the drum? The plastic drum? Like, the protester is on the other side of this drum.
Right.
But you can see exactly what's happening with
Right.
this video. Smart on them to video this. But, like, they're not even touching the hand. There's nothing even happening by the hand. But on the other side, this protester's like, he's hurting my hand! My hand! Oh, my God, it hurts!
I need medical assistance.
No, you need mental assistance.
So finally they move the bar out and they're like, yeah, he's free. You can pull his arm out. And so they pull him out. And you hear somebody right as the video is about to cut off. They're like, do you need to see medical? Yes, I do.
Wah.
What a wuss.
Take them away. I can't handle it. What are they protesting? On the Golden Gate Bridge in New York City at Columbia University. I mean, what they're actually protesting is not possible. The only way that they could get what they want is for the people like Hamas to get what they want. They want to end Jewish people. They want to end Israel.
Mm-hmm.
That is not a two-state solution.
No.
That's a one-state solution. There was a ceasefire on October 6th. Hamas broke it. Hamas wants to take care of business, and they're going to try to do it again if they're not eradicated.
The people of Gaza had self-governance, and they elected Hamas. They put Hamas in power. Israel didn't have it. Israel pulled out in like 2005. Israel did not have a presence in the Gaza Strip.
You want to liberate the people of Gaza? You need to liberate them from Hamas. Just like Amy said, do you need medical attention? Yes. Call the ambulance. Do it. They should do that, and then they should have like a circus ambulance come up
with the clowns, put them on the stretcher and actually fall and dump them out.
Oh, pick them up again. You're on a bridge. Don't trip. I just can't. I can't stomach it. The foolishness of what this country has sat by. We have, remember when like the phrase political correctness first came on? Do you remember? I mean, this all happened while we were coming of age. And there are things that we grew up probably at times saying and definitely hearing that I would feel inappropriate hearing now and saying now. Like, we grew out of saying those words. The R word was a very commonly used insult to people. I don't see any purpose in using it. I don't think that the First Amendment needs to be tossed out to protect or to stop people from saying it. But I feel like if you say that word in that type of a pejorative way, that somehow or another, I get to judge you for that now. And we have societally come together to say, that's just not acceptable. That's not culturally acceptable anymore. And if you decide to speak that way, you will be judged as such. Okay, fine. We went through a PC time where certain things changed a little bit. Where we are today, we are all so frozen in time. When we see things that are ridiculous, when we see people coming, shaking their fists in our face, threatening us, should we stand up for something that we believe to be morally, culturally right, and we see things that are morally, culturally wrong, if you dare open your mouth, you will pay, and you will pay, and you will pay until you've got nothing left. That's the society that they have tried to put us into. And a lot of people are very gun shy. We're frozen in time. Fight, flight, or freeze. We've been frozen. Now it's time to figure out one of the other things to do. We need to fight back because we cannot sustain a culture that is going to be one we want to raise our kids in for generations to come. And all of these people around this country protesting like the ones in Colombia, they want to destroy this country, not build up another one. Let's take a quick break. Let's talk about the poll question when we come back. Don't go away.
Mike Carter here of Carter Law Offices. As an attorney, I make my way across the great state of Missouri on a pretty regular basis. And from the rivers to the lakes and the Ozark Mountains, it's really just a pleasure to travel across the great state of Missouri. And, not to mention, we have the best sports team and the best cities and the friendliest small towns in America, it seems like. And Carter Law Offices wants to make sure Missouri's story gets out far and wide about our excellent business climate, our exceptional workforce. You'll hear more from me soon, Mike Carter.
Visit MikeCarter.com to see Mike's interviews with all of Missouri's elected leaders.
Mike Carter here of Carter Law Offices. As an attorney, I make my way across the great state of Missouri on a pretty regular basis. And from the rivers to the lakes and the Ozark Mountains and the richest farmland around, it's really just a pleasure to travel across the great state of Missouri. And, not to mention, we have the best sports team and the best cities and the friendliest small towns in America, it seems like. And Carter Law Offices wants to make sure Missouri's story gets out far and wide about our excellent business climate, our exceptional workforce. You'll hear more from me soon, Mike Carter.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Stewart's American Mortgage and the Bagel Loan are a phone call, a text message away. Get the Bagel Loan started by calling or texting 314-324-4440. 314-324-4440. Take your loan out, your mortgage loan out with Stewart's American Mortgage and pay nothing in closing costs when you use the Bagel Loan. The Bagel Loan doesn't exist anywhere else. It's just with Stewie. I am a 2-time customer of the Bagel Loan myself with a refinance on my house. If you have gotten a mortgage in the last, I'm going to say 18 months to 2 years, maybe 12 months to 2 years, when you reach out to Stewie, he can tell you if he can get that rate lower than where you are locked in right now. And if it doesn't cost you any closing costs to go through and get that lower rate, very, very smart decision for your finances that is going to help you imagine the interest that you're going to save over the course of those 30 years when you bring that rate down while you still can. Call him or text him at 314-324-4440. You can Google the Bagel Loan as well. NMLS number 226715.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
He calls it election interference. They call it election fraud. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. On day one of former President Trump's first criminal trial, prosecutors using opening statements in New York to accuse him of trying to illegally influence the 2016 election by preventing damaging stories from being made public. The former president denies it and calls the trial interference in the 2024 election, telling reporters outside the courtroom.
I should be in Florida now. I should be in a lot of different places right now campaigning, and I'm sitting here. And this will go on for a long time. It's very unfair.
He's charged with falsifying business records to hide hush money payments, those payments landing his former attorney Michael Cohen in prison for campaign finance violations. The judge has said prosecutors can't tie Cohen's guilty plea to the former president. Protesters for and against Israel chanting over barricades at each other on a 6th day of unrest at and near the Columbia University campus.
We have to respect people's First Amendment rights. However, people should be aware that if you cross that line and commit a crime, the NYPD will respond accordingly.
Police spokesman Tariq Shepard. The U.S. Supreme Court considering how far cities can go to crack down on homeless encampments.
Can homelessness be a criminal offense? That's one of the questions posed during more than 2 hours of arguments at the U.S. Supreme Court.
Is that not what your statute does?
The statute does not say anything about homelessness. It's a generally applicable law. It's very important that it applies to everyone.
Yeah, I got that, but it's a single person with a blanket. And you don't have to have a tent. You don't have to have a camp.
Grants Pass, Oregon attorney Theane Evangelos defended the municipal ordinance to Justice Elena Kagan. A group of homeless people are challenging the ordinance, arguing penalties for sleeping outside in public spaces violates the Eighth Amendment's protections against cruel and unusual punishment.
Fox's Jared Halpern in Washington. America is listening to Fox News.
Moments like making my kids my famous meatballs mean a lot to me. But after being diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, or MBC, which is breast cancer that has spread to other parts of the body, they mean even more. I take Ibrance, palbociclib.
Ibrance 125 milligram tablets with an aromatase inhibitor is for adults with HR-positive, HER2-negative MBC as the first hormonal-based therapy. Ask your doctor about Ibrance and visit Ibrance.com. Ibrance may cause low white blood cell counts that may lead to serious infections. Ibrance may cause severe inflammation of the lungs. Both of these can lead to death. Tell your doctor right away if you have new or worsening symptoms, including trouble breathing, shortness of breath, cough, or chest pain. Before taking Ibrance, tell your doctor if you have fever, chills, or other signs of infection, liver or kidney problems, are or plan to become pregnant, or are breastfeeding. Common side effects include low red blood cell and low platelet counts, infections, tiredness, nausea, sore mouth, abnormalities in liver blood tests, diarrhea, hair thinning or loss, vomiting, rash, and loss of appetite.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
All about sunshine, all about winds turning to the south. It gets a little windy this afternoon, but it's warmer. 69, 70. Tonight, partly cloudy skies. 52 for the overnight low. Evening temperatures in the 60s. Enjoy. Tuesday, a mix of clouds and sunshine. A couple of light rain showers, maybe a rumble of thunder. It's not much. And the focus Tuesday afternoon with a high near 70. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
You know, the Diamond Shop right now has great savings on a lot of in-stock jewelry, and Mother's Day is right around the corner. You might not have been thinking about that Mother's Day gift, but you still have some time to go get there and save on the April specials that they have running. So I want to talk to you about the 40% off all color stone jewelry, 30% off all in-stock jewelry, and an extra VIP special. Save an extra 10% on top. When you become a VIP, all you got to do to be a Diamond Shop VIP is go online to thediamondshop.net. When you scroll down to the bottom of the page, there is an incredibly simple form to fill out there. And if you imagine the amount of time that it's going to take, just a little bit, to become a VIP with the Diamond Shop, but the amount of money you can save when you're saving 10% on the top of other sales that are going on, no-brainer. Reach out to the Diamond Shop online at thediamondshop.net. But you can also go visit them in Clayton and say hello to the wonderful family-owned and operated folks there, because they are going to get to know you. They are going to love spending time and learning what you are there for and helping you find the perfect piece for yourself or for your loved one. It's all online at thediamondshop.net.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now I'm hitting the road with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months. And Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine. Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Our $79 garage door tune-up extended through April. Is your garage door old and whining for attention? Overhead Door Company of St. Louis will make it all better. They'll perform their full 26-task garage door tune-up for just $79, extended through April. That's just $79 for up to 3 garage doors and openers. You need this done once a year, so why not now? And for just $79. Schedule now at overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
When you're trying to find quality candidates, all the searching, screening, and interviewing can become a job itself. You need Indeed, the all-in-one platform that makes it easy to interview, screen, and hire quality people. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com or call us toll-free at 888-367-6512.
If you're a fan of 97.1, get a t-shirt. Visit 971talk.com/merch to see all the new t-shirt designs and show your support for St. Louis's home for conservative talk. 97.1 FM Talk. The Annie Fry Show YouTube live chat poll of the day is sponsored by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Who in America thinks it's right that if Joe Biden was in trial right now beforehand, or that President Trump, and really, they've already looked at this issue how many times? And really, from the standpoint,
a lot of people passed on bringing those charges. That's why I said what I said.
the feds already looked at
All
it.
right.
And who do they? But think about it. Their #1 witness has already proven to be a liar in the process. Cohen, the attorney.
We will see what happens when he testifies.
So everybody knows. So
Let me get to.
But it goes back to one question.
Yeah.
Does anybody in America believe President Trump would be holding this trial now if he wasn't running for president? That's the number one issue. So even if you dislike President Trump, you should stand up for fairness in America and say this is wrong.
So the YouTube live chat poll for us today here on the Annie Fry Show is, will Trump be found guilty in the initial hush money trial? I threw the word initial in there because I don't want you to go into the comments and explain to me the appeal process, which I'm really glad there is an appeal process, especially for the sake of Donald Trump, because it seems as though, in my mind, and I'm probably wrong to do this, and if you listen to Will Sharf on our show in the 12 o'clock hour, he said, I asked him this very first question off the top of our interview at about 12:15 or so. You can go in the Odyssey app and listen to that. I asked him if he thinks Trump would be found guilty, and he said no, he doesn't think he's going to be found not guilty. And he said that in any other 50-50 Biden-Trump district that he would be completely and totally exonerated on these issues. So Will Sharf, who is a Trump attorney, said that he does believe that he will be found not guilty here. And I have to check myself because I just assume he's going to be found guilty. There's a part of me that just assumes that George is going to go Democrat at 3 a.m. in the middle of the night, and it doesn't matter what happens beforehand. But I'm hoping that maybe justice prevails here. I guess there's still a hope and a chance that that could happen. So we need to know what you think on the Annie Fry YouTube channel. Will Trump be found guilty in the initial hush money trial? That's the one that started today. What do you think, Ryan?
Since it's speculation, I'm gonna wildly speculate here.
Unless you actually know, then you should give us that
I
stuff right
do
now.
not know. The closest I know is from listening to the 12 o'clock hour.
Okay.
And you
So
talking
you know
to Will
what I
Sharf.
know.
Yes. But I'm going to say there's going to be one juror who looks at this whole thing and goes, this is stupid. I'm not going to convict this guy. So I'm going to say no to this question. And he will not be found guilty.
Not be found guilty.
Yeah.
Bradley?
I am the opposite of Ryan, and I feel bad for going against Will Sharf because that means that I have less faith in the jurors than he does. And that means that I have a little bit less faith in Americans to see justice past their own internal biases. I think they're going to look at this, and I think that they will say, I just don't like that guy, so I'm going to vote, and I'm going to convict him. And so I'm a yes on this. I think he will be convicted, but I don't think it'll be based on anything more than those people that are sitting in that juror box right now just don't like Donald Trump.
I screwed up. I should have asked Will Sharf because there's 34 charges in this case. 34 felonies. They took one thing that they could find on him from pre-2016 election. They put it in a blender. And then they ate it, and then they pooped this out into 34 turds. I am sorry to use such unladylike language, but I think that it is worth it this time. And the question that I should have asked Will, and I want you to text him this when he's done with Martha McCallum on Fox News.
Okay,
text him the turd thing.
Ryan, yeah, we have this analogy. We think it's great. You should use it when you go on Martha
this,
McCallum's
yeah.
show. Yeah, just say that Mark Cox show in St. Louis told me to say
Yeah.
this. No, just kidding. I want to know: is it if it's one, it's all? Do they figure out a way to parse it so he's guilty on one, but not guilty on 33? Let's text him in the break.
Well, from watching the
Will you call him
Heard,
back and ask him if he's free at 2:45?
From what I know about celebrity
Yeah,
trials,
please go to the Johnny Depp trial.
Johnny Depp
this is
trial,
great.
I think that you can be found guilty of some and not all.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just from TV.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's what
you,
this is. It's
you
just
may
you.
want to ask our professionals. But definitely do suggest all the things that you were
Just
suggesting.
going back to the Annie's description there. It's like, so this
Wait, where was I wrong?
You weren't.
Thank you.
But I'm listening to the Johnny Depp trial, and I'm like, oh, so this case is a grumpy.
Turd, yeah.
Amber.
It's a grumpy.
White Eagle Ranger says Amber Turd. Man, that's good.
Why don't you just send him this whole segment?
I'm going to just ask you to delete it. Can you just hit the dump button for like 12 minutes of
I don't
dump?
think I have that much dump.
We took a 12-minute dump on the Annie Fry show. 2 o'clock.
No.
Yeah.
It's fun to hit that button.
I don't know where I am. I was gonna be like, obviously he's gonna be found guilty, and then Will Sharf said no, he's not gonna be found. And when Will Sharf was incredibly confident when he was talking about the election stuff in Colorado, he's like, no, this is totally not going anywhere. And I'm like, oh, come on, are you sure? He was right. He was like the emphasis of the Supreme Court coming back the way that they did was 9-0. He said all that was going to happen. And I was thinking, I think you're too confident. But he was right. He knew what he was talking about. So he was confident in the Supreme Court, met the challenge, blah, blah, blah. So I don't know. I really want to know what you guys all think, and I need you to go vote on the Annie Fry YouTube channel and tell us. And you can leave some comments if you so choose. Question here, parenting question and youth question. So Ryan and Brad, I need your unique individual thoughts on this. This was a post on Twitter, but I'm just going to say Amanda. I mean, she put it on Twitter, so I don't feel like if I say it out loud, like I'm airing her business, but I'm just going to say Amanda, and I'll retweet it right now so you can see it. My daughter is 7 and had a slumber party last night. We do not have phones or iPads, just computer games allowed for a set time a week. The friend had a phone and played Roblox the whole time. Didn't want to play dress up school, anything make-believe, etc. 1, should I enforce the same rules in my house? And 2, it's so sad that kids are addicted. They can't play pretend anymore. My friends and I would make elaborate plays, talk shows, dances, and more. I attribute so much of my creativity to this. Screen time, social pressure for kids is so real. I don't know that your kids, how many kids, your oldest are 9?
Yep.
What percentage of their peers have phones?
Very few that I know of. It
You
would be
haven't gotten
0,
there yet.
but there might be somebody out there, but I'm going to say it's almost none.
I think under 10, it's a very unique situation.
Yeah.
And you're still in a position where if you have strict rules, it's much more understandable and your kid's not like the uncool one. 14-year-old boy, mm-mm.
Yeah.
My 11-year-old daughter, mm-mm.
Oh, really?
She's the only one who doesn't have a phone that is her own. Now, as I've said before, we've got 2 phones. I've upgraded twice my phones over the course of like 8 years or something like that. We have activated those phones. And for instance, today, my daughter is on a field trip. I let her take the phone because she's going to St. Louis, and I just thought it would be good to be able to contact her. But when they come home, the phones go on a shelf. There's no sitting and internet surfing. It never, ever, ever goes to the bedrooms. They don't spend any time at home just sitting on their phones ever. Those phones sit on the shelf. If they want to check a message, they can go to the shelf and pick up the phone and see if there's 72 new messages in the last 5 minutes in the group text that's going on in their class, and they can read and respond if they so choose. They don't really get involved in that, and there is 0 social media. So I'm very strict for my older 2 kids' ages, but I think that this is an interesting question. We have in our house a rule that you don't take, basically, it's not the phone, it's the internet. You don't take the internet into private places. It's not yours to have. Pay the internet bill, and then we can start talking. You're going to have to find your own device. That's the way our rule is. My kids have had people come over and spend the night, and they've had laptops to play video games or something like that. Maybe they have phones. And I haven't taken phones away from kids in the basement because I feel as though in a sleepover situation, that's a point of contact for the parents and they were young enough. But I did make one of the kids who spent the night, who brought a laptop over to play video games. Totally understood why they were playing video games. And I think they stayed up till 3 a.m. and I was upstairs and I knew they were still playing video games. When it was time to turn stuff off, I made them bring the computer upstairs. Is that psycho?
No.
Not at all. In fact, I think almost the opposite is true. It's almost psycho to not have any oversight over it at all, which is the default way that most people go. You have to know what's coming into your house, and the internet is a major open door to the worst things possible coming into your house. So you have to have ground rules, and you have to stick by those no matter who's in your house too, especially a bunch of kids.
What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think it's psycho at all. I think that those kids, your kids, have the rest of their lives to be on devices and whatnot. And, I think that they deserve the opportunity, be it through force or whatnot, to not have those devices. So whenever I listen to the story of this little kid that is at this sleepover, not be able to function without a phone and playing Roblox when their friends are right there, it sounds to me like that little kid didn't even want to be there. What's the point of going to a sleepover if you're not going to hang out with your friends?
And but they think that that's how they hang out with friends. That's what social is. I mean, I feel bad for these kids who have been socialized via devices and social media. like it's what they know, they get really uncomfortable when they're around peers in person. My experience, though, my husband, it kind of depends on the team we're coaching right now, but it was 7 years ago, we were coaching girls basketball, and some of those girls they'd be eighth graders. Some of them would have phones. A lot of them had phones, but I mean, yeah. We would go out as a team if we were in a tournament somewhere else. We would go out as a team for dinner, get pizza or whatever. And my husband and none of the parents had any problem with this. So you got to make sure that you're not upsetting parents, so to speak. But he would go, everybody would sit down. The kids would all get excited. They're all hanging out together, but they're all on their phones. And he would just go one by one over their shoulder, take all their phones away, and get a tray from the waitress and put all the phones like on top of the napkin holder in the parents' table. So all the phones were there. And then we would just all sit and watch and figure out how to talk to each other.
That's great.
It took 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then they were the loudest people in the restaurant. And I mean, like, actual social contact, talking to each other, laughing, joking, having a good time. But they all freaked out when they lost their phones. No, you can't do that, Mr. Fry. You can't blah, 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 blah. And with the parents' permission, he's like, I absolutely can, and I did. So you want to spend the next hour in this restaurant staring at your empty palms? Knock yourself out. And the kids snap back. Like, you go into being a kid almost immediately. I want that for my kids so much, but it does become very difficult when you are competing with a society that doesn't prioritize those things anymore.
Yeah, we're going to have to cross this bridge pretty soon.
Yes, you are on the porch.
Yeah, we are. We just went to a soccer tournament a couple weekends ago, and of course, all the 9-year-old boys, well, we'd go out to a restaurant with some of the other families, you know, and one kid would have a phone or even a couple. Well, all the other kids, including mine, who don't get to watch stuff all the time, man, they're just crowding around that kid.
Oh, yeah.
This is the opportunity for me to watch whatever. And it's usually just some game, but it's like, can we all just agree that if we go out to a bowling alley or a restaurant or something, like make the kids talk, but it takes one kid and then everybody's just, that's it.
And that's what this post is talking about. Like, if we have a sleepover and and the one kid is on the Roblox or doing the video games or whatever in your own home, can you say, nope, you're not going to do that? This is going to come as a shock to people. Support saying that.
What?
When we come back, though, I'm going to take it another step further. And this is something that we've talked about this in, I don't think we've talked about it in confusing terms, but I'm going to read you an example, word for word, of a post that I came across that really takes this to where parents have no idea what is at the other end of those devices. We're going to discuss that when we come back. So hold on. We'll have a sensitive conversation here in just a minute.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Instagram at The Annie Fry Show.
You know, the Retirement Advisory Group has been helping Annie Fry Show listeners, and more specifically 97.1 FM Talk listeners, for well over a decade. The Retirement Advisory Group is the destination for people who are just like you. You've been working your tail off. You have retirement right around the corner. You look at the economy right now and you raise your eyebrows and you go, gosh, can we do this? Can we make this happen? You have to be making the right moves when you get to that point where you are nearing retirement. And the Retirement Advisory Group specializes in people exactly like you. You want to make sure that when you do decide to pull the trigger and retire, that you have made the smart moves, made the maneuvers to be able to have a worry-free retirement. That's what Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw and Tammy Kershaw do at the Retirement Advisory Group. They help people exactly like you who are nearing retirement or recently retired do the things you need to do to have that worry-free retirement. And it's free to set up an appointment and talk to them. There's no obligation after you have the meeting. You just call 314-993-9494, 314-993-9494, and set up the appointment today. Tell them Annie said hello. You can find them online at retirementkey.com.
Baseball is back, basketball is heating up, and the NFL Draft is right around the corner. Listen to the latest on the teams you love with the free Odyssey app. The biggest sports radio stations in the country, providing unrivaled local coverage of their teams, all in one place. Exclusive interviews with players, coaches, and team executives, streaming live and always available on demand. Stay in the know with your favorite teams with Odyssey. AUDACY. Download the free Odyssey app today.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-652-5241 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-652-5241. That's 800-652-5241. What do you have to lose? Call 800-652-5241. Again, 800-652-5241.
If you're thinking of selling your home, I'm sure there are two things you want: certainty and the most money, right? Hi, it's Mark Cox, and if you've been listening to me for some time, you know the only agent I trust is Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, St. Louis real estate expert. Here's why she should be your first and only call when looking for an agent. Gloria doesn't make empty promises. No, she provides written guarantees. Now, what does this mean for you? Certainty. Now, certainty isn't the only thing you want. You also want the most money. Gloria is able to get her home sellers more money than the average agent because she already has the buyers. This is why Gloria will guarantee to sell your home at your agreed upon price, or she'll buy it. To get your guaranteed price, call St. Louis real estate expert Gloria Liu at 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888. Or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Conditions apply. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
It's no secret many Americans are facing economic hardship. And if you have unpaid taxes to the IRS hanging over your head, high increasing interest rates and inflation are driving what many owe to insurmountable levels. At Community Tax, we specialize in resolving your tax problems with the best possible solutions. If you owe back taxes to the IRS, relief programs are now being made available for delinquent taxpayers that can reduce what you owe and give you a fresh start. Our relief services are top-rated by the Better Business Bureau and Consumer Affairs, reducing over $1 billion in tax debt for people just like you. If you have liens, levies, wage garnishments, or are under audit, we can help. And whether you owe $10,000 or hundreds of thousands, you may qualify for significant savings. Call Community Tax for your free consultation at 800-218-5085. 800-218-5085. That's 800-218-5085.
Just imagine being walked all over for 36 years. Who would do that? The great customers of Reinhold Flooring, that's who. For over 3.5 decades, Reinhold Flooring has been the mecca for carpet, hardwood, vinyl, laminate, and area rugs. Reinhold Flooring is customer-driven with a focus on top-quality products and installations from the best team in the business. So come on in and walk all over your next flooring at Reinhold Flooring. Visit them at 5429 Telegraph Road in St. Louis or online at reinholdflooring.com.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. If you're not sure who to call for air conditioning services, contact the team at Air Comfort Service. With 55 years of experience and thousands of 5-star reviews, you can trust them with the comfort of your home. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
Want to listen to 97.1 outside the listening area? There's an app for that. Download the Odyssey app, and one tap will turn the station on. The Odyssey app for 97.1 FM Talk.
Run a comb through my hair and step out in the street. And the city's the color of flame in the midsummer heat. Oh, yeah.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Jennifer's got a daddy's car. She's playing uptown on the stereo.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. We were talking in the last break about a woman who posted on Twitter, and she was saying that her kids had a sleepover, and one of the kids who went to the sleepover was on the phone the entire time. And she's not a phone household. She was wondering, can I enforce the rule that I have for my kids on other kids when they are spending the night at my house? I just retweeted it at Annie Fry Show if you want to read it or respond to her directly. I also came across, I'm a member of a Facebook group, and it's all about being a parent in this technological world. And there are, I think, tens of thousands of people in this Facebook group, but people are posting every day. And many of the things that they're posting are the same. It's just a new person. Same stuff happens to a new family. And a lot, the nice thing about this that I appreciate about it is that you can post on this Facebook group anonymously, so you can get specific about things that you're experiencing, and you're not outing yourself or exposing your kids, but you are able to source with other parents your experience, find out if other people have dealt with the same thing, and so on and so forth. I'm going to read this. I'm going to read it verbatim. And I want to talk about this because I think when we talk about phones and keeping them from kids and so on and so forth, it's like you are usually talking around something. But I think we should talk straight at it. This is what this anonymous member posted. We are heartbroken and ashamed and devastated. We found inappropriate content in our 10-year-old's iPad. We have not monitored it until now. It is our fault and our fault alone. But now what? We've blocked YouTube and several other apps. But how do we explain all of this to her? How do we fix what is broken? We feel like complete failures. We just want to make it right. So you have parents of a 10-year-old girl who have just found pornography on their child's iPad. This is really the, what would you say, elephant in the room that most people are talking about when you are looking to monitor social media in the hands of children, the internet in the hands of children. Even if you are monitoring it, if you're trying to be on it as much as you can, like be on the monitoring of the situation as much as you possibly can, you cannot uncrack that egg. And I think that the actual exposure, the average age of the actual exposure of that is maybe less than 10.
Yeah, last I heard it was 9.
I don't understand how people are willing to risk it. It's such a big risk. And if you want to talk about protecting the innocence of children, you can't. That is the biggest game changer. That is the thing that, you know, if you're going to, let's say you have the news on in your house, you are going to see things on the news. We watch the news all day, every day in here, but you're going to see violence on the news. You're going to see people hating people on the news. You're going to see a lot of things that are on the nightly news that are very innocence shattering for children. But pornography is beyond that. And you can't undo it. You can't unsee it. You have to have conversations about that as soon as it happens. And you have to, of course, do it in an age-appropriate way. But I don't understand. I'm willing to say this. And Brad and Ryan, I want you to correct me where I'm wrong. I'm willing to suggest that if your child has unsupervised access to a cell phone ever around other children, that they've seen pornography.
I certainly hope not, but
if your child has a device and they have had that device around other children who have their devices unsupervised, that they've seen some kind of pornography.
It's hard to say that that's not true because all I have is hope that it's not true, but that's the danger you're dealing with. I mean, what you're saying is probably more common than not, even if it's not 100% of the time. And you have to, as a parent, be willing to be the unpopular one, the bad guy. I wrote down 2 reasons when you were just talking just now. Why aren't parents willing to step into those situations? Because, like you said, it is such a danger. It is so prevalent. and so easy to get. And in fact, not even easy to get. Like, they try to get the kids.
It's hard to avoid.
It's hard to avoid, yeah. So why aren't parents willing to step in and recognize the risk? Because I think most people are going to acknowledge that is definitely a major risk. I don't think there's any argument about that. The first is just absentee parents. They just don't care enough to pay attention. They find it easier to give their kids a device than to monitor anything, let alone the amount of monitoring that you have to do, which is pretty much everything. The second is parents who do monitor, but they're just, whether it's because of social pressure or that's just the way they've always done things because that's the environment that they've grown up in, they're just not willing to say no enough, because you have to say no so much as a parent.
Over and over and over and over again. And like, we tried to wear our parents down as kids, and we didn't even have access. We could have dreamt of the things that our children have access to.
Yes. Yeah. And so you have to be willing to be loving enough to say no, because that's ultimately what you're doing. You won't be loved in the moment, but you will be loved beyond that moment in a much deeper way if you're willing to, because the kid knows that you care. When you tell them no, the kid knows that they care or that you care. And we have gotten so far away from that. We've, as a culture, do not teach that really anything is wrong, that even saying something is wrong is kind of like taboo, but you have to be willing to do it. You got to know where your boundaries are, and you have to enforce those boundaries all the time. You can't have cracks in the facade either.
I'll tell you what, we've been talking about this as a risk. It is not a risk. It is a foregone conclusion that if your child has a phone or has access to the internet, unfettered access to the internet, they will encounter pornography.
It doesn't even have to be them seeking it out, but they will be around people who have it becomes an addiction for adults. For a child, oh my gosh, they don't even know what to do with it. But the fact that it will get to them, I'm saying guaranteed.
I'll tell you what, I work with kids in the youth group. I've spoken with kids about issues that they've had from, very young ages, and they're not seeking it out. They stumble across it. It is so prevalent on the internet, and it's just out there. I've had, when I was driving a school bus, I've had kids go, "Oh, Mr. Range, blah, 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 is looking at booty pics." And they have their cell phone. And this kid is in maybe 4th grade.
That was a while ago.
Yeah. But my thing is this. It is a foregone conclusion. If you love your child, if you want to shield your child from this for as long as you possibly can, then you need to be able to tell them no. You need to be able to let them know that, hey, there are some things out there that you may not even go looking for that will find you, and I need to shield you from that. And we're talking about pornography, but that's just it. There's predators out there. There's people out there that are seeking your children, and they pose as girls their age. They pose as friends. They pose as whatever, and they talk these kids into doing stuff that you wouldn't even imagine. You'd be like, no, my kid wouldn't do that. Listen to me. Yes, your kid would. I cannot tell you how many times I've counseled with parents and talked to them, and they say, my kid wouldn't do that. Yes, they would. Have that in your mind. Yes, they would.
They don't know not to.
Right.
I don't want to minimize the threat of the predators, because that is a major, major threat, and it needs to be acknowledged and watched for. I just feel, and maybe this is just my household and maybe the people we run with, that is more like top of mind. The pornography thing is not one you think about as much. And so I'm glad that we were talking about that too, because that is so prevalent and it asks nothing of you. It's just there for you to consume.
Well, and the thing about it is too, that is in areas that you would never expect it to be. I think I've talked about this on the air before, but there was a way that people were using a Bible app to share pornographic images. The Bible app. And this is what they're doing. It is so prevalent. And like I said earlier, it's not a high risk. It is a foregone conclusion. When you give your child a phone, it's not if, it's when they will come across it. And the question is how long do you want to protect your child's innocence, and how much innocence do they need to have that, or how long do they need to have that innocence? And I think as long as you can maintain that is the right way of going about it.
There are over 200 comments on this post of this 10-year-old. We're talking about a 10-year-old girl. And every day I read through these comments, and I use this group as a way to communicate to my kids. I can do it. I mean, I've said this before. My son's 14. My daughter is 11. My 14-year-old son and my 11-year-old daughter are about the same maturity level. So they can handle those conversations. But I say to them, like, look at what happened here. Look at what's out there. And the predator thing, the amount of people who get on Discord is a huge one. Do you use Discord at all?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
For gaming?
It's the voice chat we use for gaming.
So it's a traditional thing that people use. I mean, like all of these things, the Bible app, there are very good and righteous applications for the systems that are in place that then get taken advantage of and used for nefarious reasons in other places. And of course, where's the predator going to go? Where the kids are.
Mm-hmm.
They don't put out their predator sign and wait and see who's interested. They go where the kids are and they prey upon those kids. But I mean, it's daily that I will see people post about, oh, my kid, is Discord used with Roblox or is that separate?
You can use it.
I think that's something but Roblox, I've heard a lot of problems with that as well. Because you could just talk with people.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow or another, there will be a phone number that will be requested by the predator to the kid. And these kids are 10. They may be younger. And the phone number is provided. What's your home address? The home address is provided. I mean, these parents are like posting on here. I mean, that's how helpless and hopeless they feel in that moment, that they're going to a Facebook group, posting anonymously saying, oh my gosh, I am in immediate need of advice on how to handle this situation. Questions and concerns about pictures that their children have taken of themselves and sent these people who are posing to be different people than they actually are, of their children. And they're worried about going to law enforcement because their children took pictures of themselves, because they were enticed to take pictures of themselves and send those photographs over the internet. And they're worried about going to law enforcement because they're worried about what it means for their child to have transmitted that file from their phone to another. This is just like drain the blood out of all of my body, frightening, stomach-turning stuff that I don't think we have any idea how prevalent it is because people don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I'm glad that we talk, because we do have these conversations every so often, and we need to continue, because every single time we talk about it, it's a reminder to me personally that I need to be taking it more seriously, let alone anybody who's listening. But it's also that the things are changing so fast. You know, we talk about this every other month maybe, but 2 months ago, your strategy for dealing with it might be a little different now than it was then. Because
now kids are using the Bible app.
Exactly.
And then the next time they're using a calculator app that has a secret place where you can go communicate on the side, and it's not, folks, newsflash, an actual calculator that people use.
But the creative solutions like that you're doing, we're getting there. And my wife is a teacher. Your husband's a teacher. Your wife's a teacher. Mm-hmm. They deal with students, so they're going to be a little bit more in the know, which is great for us to have these conversations. But you got to be creative and get ahead of those situations, like you're talking about, Annie, with your kids putting the phone up. Okay, yeah, you can use it. You can still communicate with your friends, but then you got to put it here so that I can monitor it. Like, that's a creative solution to a modern problem.
My husband and I modified our hell no policy of cell phones because my son, it was like a year ago or so, he was kind of bumming around the house, and you could tell it was one of those things where he wasn't moping because we told him he had to clean his room or whatever. Not that he would ever do that. Clean his room. He would never clean his room. Just kidding. Sorry, Charlie. You could tell he was bumming about something, and we sat him down and we said, what's going on? Talk to us. Tell us. Maybe we can make it better for you. And he didn't want to do it because he knows how stubborn and vocal I am about just, we're not doing the phone thing. I know that you really want it. I get that you really want it. If I were you, I would 100% want the same thing. But no. And he explained, he's like, it was a group that he was in, a social group that he was in. He's like, all the kids there, they all communicate throughout the course of the season through their phones, and I'm not on them. So I'm not in the chats. I go, do you feel like they're excluding you? He's like, no, they weren't being mean to him at all. They all liked him just as much as they liked each other, but he just was left out because he wasn't let in. And we said to my son, like, listen, we are doing this for the first time with you. You're the oldest. We don't know what we're doing. We are absolutely erring on the side of caution, but we do understand what you're saying. And that's what moved us into we're going to permit you to use a phone for communication. We're going to give you more leash to use that phone to be in the group chats where you can go check the phone in a group chat. But guess what? We can check the group chat anytime we want to as well. But we are going to give you the privilege of being able to utilize that phone in a way that allows you to be part of the conversation. Because when I was a kid, we sat on the phone for hours. I had a good friend, his birthday's today, who I would sit on the phone for hours. And I don't even know what we talked about at the time. But there also was no internet. We were bored. And you would be like simultaneously bored on a corded phone that was in the kitchen that wrapped around into the closest room that you'd try to close the door on. And yeah, mom and dad could pick up the other line at any time and listen in. So there was some privilege there, but there was also some understanding that while you were having what might feel like a private conversation, it doesn't have to be at any given time if mom and dad choose to step in. And you weren't having it in a so private location. You were tethered literally to the most common area in the home. So we said, we're going to let you do this. And just know that it's a privilege. If you take advantage of this, if you ever abuse this, if you ever swipe this and try to use it in a way that we haven't permitted, you can always ask to do whatever. And we can always say yes or no. But if you try to take advantage of this, it's all gone. Because that's on you. And it's worked pretty well. My biggest encouragement to parents who are dealing with the phone question, which is an internet question. It's not a phone question. It's an internet question, is live in the world of permits, not limits. Because when you limit the usage of the phone, it implies that the kid has a right to an amount of time that you are limiting. So it's kind of like you are the negative effect on the usage of that phone. You're the one who's setting the cutoff time. That's not the way it works. That phone, that access to the phone is a privilege. It's my phone, and I will permit you to use it for whatever is deemed in your household to be the appropriate amount of time. And when I'm giving you the phone as opposed to taking it from you, that is a huge difference in perspective that I do think if you establish that with the kid becomes a more positive way to look at it. It's like positive reinforcement, like you've earned this here, I'm permitting you to have this, and it doesn't set the false narrative that phone belongs to the child, because it doesn't. Nothing in my house belongs to my child unless they somehow or another earn the money and paid for it themselves. They're permitted to use everything, including the roof that is over their head and the bed that they sleep in, because we love them and it's of good use to them. My son is even, I shouldn't have said him specifically, but he's lost the right to have the door on his room before. And that was really highly effective.
Yeah.
But I mean, you have to constant, like, these kids want the structure. And here, child, here's the whole internet. And then the influence of what their peers are saying to them, that is the complete and total absence of structure. Those kids cannot possibly be expected to handle the pressures of that. And I would say that adults who look at the internet like it's an unrestricted frontier, they have problems with it too. Why in the world would we expect our kids to be able to handle that? And I will also say to you, if you're somebody who has experienced the confrontation of what this post on Facebook that I said, this 10-year-old girl who they found inappropriate things on her iPad, the curiosity that child might have had is a human curiosity. And loving that child in that moment is the most important thing. The fact that they would have been curious in that moment is not something that we need to condemn them for. We have to shepherd them into a good understanding of what is good and what is bad about it, and that is really hard to do when they're 9 and 10. It's hard enough to do when they're 13 and 14, but it's really hard to do when they're 9 and 10, which is why I implore you to just keep it away from them. Protect their innocence as much as possible because the world is a predator out there to get to your children. Relentlessly. I promise you. Let's take a quick break. I want to read some of your comments that have come in on the YouTube chat on this conversation and also the YouTube live chat poll. Will Trump be found guilty in the initial hush money trial? We'll be right back.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Fry Show.
I can't stress enough how important it is to have somebody like Katie or Jesse at STS Armory to help navigate your Second Amendment rights in the state of Illinois to make sure that you are fully exercising them as you see fit and doing so legally in Illinois. STS Armory, online at sts-armory.com. They are tops when it comes to being able to get you the firearm that you're searching for, get you the ammunition you've been looking for, get you the education that you've been needing because you got your FOID card, you made the firearm purchase, but you want to make sure that you follow through on that conceal and carry license. It's something you've committed to, and you want to get it done and get it done right. Katie and Jesse Johnson at STS Armory are the best when it comes to giving you those educational courses you need to qualify for that conceal and carry license in the state of Illinois. Also, they offer ladies-only classes. So if you are looking for a gift for Mother's Day, and this is something that might be up the line of a mom in your life, I highly encourage you to go to STS Armory and get them a gift certificate for one of these courses. All the details online at sts-armory.com.
This time of year again, where we all should be, not every, we should all be calling our companies and making sure our air conditioners are in running order and do the best you can to make sure that they don't break down this summer. It's only $89 if you call us to have us do it. But let's just say that you've had that done and a company says you need a new system. Sucks, but without a question, you get another opinion, get another price. I can promise you, without a question, if you call me for a second opinion based on what my customers say for the second opinion, you'll be happy you did. Call me. It's Bart Inman. One easy number, Missouri and Illinois. 314-293-2600. Missouri and Illinois. Or on the internet, bartinman.com. Now that's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
Stop everything you're doing right now and ask yourself, are you currently receiving steady paychecks? What about when you're retired? Will you receive a monthly check to cover your expenses and also have some fun? Marvin Mitchell and the team at Compass Retirement Solutions calls this mailbox money. It's a monthly check you'll receive throughout retirement. They don't want you to worry about if the money will show up or how much money you'll receive. The only thing they want you to think about is how to spend it when it arrives. Find out how to get enough money in your mailbox every month when you're retired. Call Marvin Mitchell and the Compass Retirement Solutions team at 314-373-1598 to start working on a plan that can help you create the monthly income you'll need in retirement. Call 314-373-1598 right now and schedule a visit with Compass Retirement Solutions. 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services, investments, and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois.
Beat the spring cleaning rush and call our cleaning heroes at Zero Res. This month, get 3 rooms, Zero Resified, starting at $129 and take $50 off your air duct cleaning. Visit ZeroResSTL.com and book your appointment today. You spell it backward or forward, it spells the same. Zero Res.
This is Chad Clayman with ClaymanGroup.com, KLAMEN Group.com, where we buy property in as-is condition. Are you wanting to sell your property, but you don't want to deal with the stress? Many times people sell to us because they want to be a less stressed seller and they want to simplify their solution. We can provide a flexible closing date on your sale, and we can make it easy to sell your property. We can guarantee we'll give you our best offer possible to make a win-win situation. If you have a house you want to sell, to simplify your sale, KLAMEN Group.com.
The Annie Fry YouTube live chat poll of the day: will Trump be found guilty in the initial hush money trials? And not talking about all the appeals. We're talking about this one happening right now in New York. Yes or no? Let us know what you think. We're going to give you the results of this poll, a highly voted in poll, as I understand it, here in just a couple minutes. 2:52 right now. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. Welcome to Monday, the very latest on the crazy protests at Columbia University, Yale, and elsewhere. Also, Josh Hammer, senior editor at large of Newsweek. He's going to have a lot to say on this. All that and more coming up after Fox News at 3.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Fry Show.
Princess all day as he plays ukulele on the hill above the bay. Pineapple princess, I love you, you're the sweetest girl I've seen. Someday we're gonna marry and you'll be my pineapple queen.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. As Ryan just mentioned, the YouTube live chat poll for today, will Trump be found guilty in the initial hush money trial? Vicky said yes, they're going to stop at nothing to get a conviction. Gary said, I have to vote yes, but I'm praying that there is at least one person with a conscience who will say not guilty. Rick said, no, not if there's any real justice in the system, but that's a big if. And Carlos said, I voted no. The law is on his side. To be found guilty would mean that the law has no meaning, so I'm just keeping hope that the law will prevail. So we need to know what you think. Real quick, we'll go around the room here. Brad, your vote?
I'm a yes, and I'm sad that I have to say that.
You think he's going to be found guilty?
Yeah.
And I am a no. I'm going to hang my hopes on one juror. just hope for the best.
I'm going to say no, I don't think he's going to be found guilty, and I just decided to do that in the last 2 minutes, and I'm just doing it because Will Sharf told us that at the beginning of the show.
Me too, kind of.
If you missed it, we had a really interesting conversation with Will Sharf, who is one of the Donald Trump attorneys, will be participating in the Supreme Court arguments taking place Thursday about the presidential immunity. Is it better? We don't have much time here, but is it better for Donald Trump to be doing what he's doing right now than just willy-nilly campaigning?
In general, there's the poll out there that says if he's convicted of something, it's going to hurt him. Other than that, I would say this all plays well for a guy who is a multi-millionaire former president. How in the world could you possibly make this guy a victim but do this? You have made him the sympathetic voice in the 2024 election.
Yeah, I think that there is a benefit to him the way this is playing out right now, because I think that it forces him to be with the people. The only place he can go whenever he knows he has to be in New York for a trial is out amongst the people, like at that bodega thing. And I think that's a net win for him.
Huge. That's a huge net win for him. I think what I keep hearing people say after Donald Trump speaks, when he comes out and stands, at the microphones there in the court hallway or whatever it is, people have all said that he's really stayed on message, that the idea that he is in these trials because it goes all the way to the top to Joe Biden. I mean, you cannot come and convince me that what they are putting Donald Trump through, especially in this trial, is like to protect America from a criminal. Just stop.
They can't even take themselves seriously when they say that.
The YouTube live chat poll for today, will Trump be found guilty in the initial hush money trial? 62% of you say yes. I hope you're wrong. I hope Will Sharf is right. Check out the Annie Fry Show podcast and listen to his conversation with us. You can watch it on the Annie Fry YouTube channel. He joined us on Zoom as well. The Mark Reardon Show with all of the news of the afternoon when we come back.
What do you want from me? I'm not a married sweetheart.
When you ask people here, what's the one thing that makes Diamonds Direct their favorite jeweler? For some, it's the unbeatable pricing we get through our direct importer. No middleman connections. The foundation of our business since day one. For others, it's the uncompromising quality. From hand-selected diamonds to handcrafted designer rings. Only the best of the best. Some people put selection at the top of their list, as Diamonds Direct offers up to 30 times the options you expect from a typical jewelry retailer. For some, it's our luxurious showroom with diamond experts who genuinely care about your experience and happiness, and who are empowered to do whatever it takes for you. Others rave about Diamonds Direct's unmatched warranties and guarantees that include free service for life and an extraordinary 110% diamond upgrade promise. But you know the most often answer we get when asking what makes Diamonds Direct stand out? It's not one thing. It's everything. Diamonds Direct. Value, luxury, choices, and confidence. Get directions, hours, and more at diamondsdirect.com.
Okay, so you filed your taxes